to win the game.
My message for the fans, we're all frustrated with where we are right now.
Jets, Jets. There he is. What's happening, everybody? Here we are. Yeah. Boy, oh boy, am I psyched. I love being here with you guys. This one excites me, guys. I love it. I can't wait to get here every single week. I always try to take a nap on Thursdays before I get in here, and guess how many times I'm able to do it? None. I lay there like an idiot, wasting time thinking I'm going to nap, but I'm too excited. I'm too excited to hang out with you guys. This is going to be fun, man, because as we know, as diehard fans as we are, right? We're the diehards, right? I think we can shake off any illusions otherwise, right? We're here on a Thursday night. We're like fucking 6 months after our season ended, and we're still here. So we're the diehards, and this is a time of year that it gets tough for us. So it's very important that we stay together and keep each other flowing with our number one interest, the New York Jets. And that's what the Thursday Thick of It is for. I am GreenBean, and I'm glad that you're here. Before moving on any further, let's do the nicest thing that we can do today for each other. Let's say hello to our co-host, Mr. Frankie from Flatbush. What's up, Frankie?
Hello, and welcome to the Thursday Thick of It in the middle of the thin period of the offseason. Maybe we should call it the Thursday Thin of It.
Oh, oh, that's good, man. You landed right on that. That's perfect. Maybe we will. For the off season, the dry period, we'll call it the Thursday Thin of It. That's fantastic, Frankie. Thank you for that one. That's good. Anything going on with you, buddy?
Oh, just watching Lake and Tomlinson film like everybody else.
That's right, man. That's all. The norm. The norm.
Watch what everybody's doing.
Watching Nate Herbig's family reunion from 1997 when he was 8 years old. Yeah, well, it's good though. And this, what's cool about this? Like before the draft, like that whole couple month period, I really enjoy being able to watch film and look, it all starts with some highlights. You watch some highlights and stuff, and then maybe you read a couple breakdowns or what have you. And then when you're really digging in, you watch somebody's game tape, and sometimes it's just a full game that you watch and you're trying to zero in. And then there are some nice people out there that have cut these things up in such a way, and they'll highlight the guy that you want to look at on every single play of the game. And those are the best. And when you can get to do that, it's really fantastic. But during that season, I don't know, man, as long as it feels, Frankie, like, oh my God, another mock, blah, 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 blah. To me, it feels like it's over in a week. Like I can't get to the guys I want to get into. Like I didn't watch enough, Van Valkenburg film, or, it's like, I always feel like I don't get enough. So now you kind of get a little catch up time. You know what I'm saying?
That's an interesting thing, and that's one of the reasons why I rely on. One of the things I try to do is find out who are the reliable experts. We have a comment up here from Johnny G about Country Club Connor Hughes, and so we found out through research that Connor Hughes is wrong about just about everything. So he's not a reliable guy. But like a guy like Dane Brugler, he's reliable. He's solid. Daniel Jeremiah, solid. Not right about everything, but solid. And then you have to lean on their research. They're going to look at, who looks at more players than Dane Brugler? He puts out the Beast for the for the Athletic.
Yeah.
And who looks at more players than that guy? There's every damn player you could. DQ Thomas was in there. Nobody knew about DQ Thomas until we signed him, right? No Jetsfan.
That's right. And you brought that up back then. That was an interesting one, right? Yeah. There are guys like that. Yeah, you're right.
There's guys like that, and you can't possibly watch so you have to kind of, you watch what you can, and then you rely on the gurus. We call it the guru system, and you find the good gurus, the ones who get things right consistently, and you stick with them, and you find out who gets things wrong consistently, and you discard those.
Yeah. It's a funny thing, with our beat guys, for some reason, Frankie, and I really, at this point, I don't know what this is. I've gotten to a point of almost like I like just disengaged, right? Like I'll say my piece, but I don't argue with people about it anymore. I get people that literally DM me or just comment in the comment section and tell me all the things, all the reasons why I should like Connor Hughes. Or I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, I've done this. Like I've been hanging around the Jets for 40 years now. And before the internet, like they were what we had. That was it. We didn't even have access to, in many ways, many respects, to the the press conferences and all that. We had their interpretation of the press conferences. And for so many years, all I did, no matter where I worked, I was a blue collar construction guy for much of my earlier life, right? And I would in the morning when I work in Manhattan or the Bronx, or I'd go grab the Post and the News and my Snickers bar. That's what I would do every single day. And then when I was in New Jersey, I get the Star Ledger in addition to the Post and the News. Maybe I get the Daily Record or whatever it is. But I would read these guys. I have ingested more Rich Cimini and Steve Serby and Cannicero than anybody. You know what I mean? And it's like I already know what they are. And like every year I just get reaffirmed. Like again, the whole Drake London thing with the comment that was just up there. It's like, dude, everything that he has told us this offseason has been dead wrong. Okay. Yep. The only time he got anything right is when he gave us a list of potential guys. Like he said, keep an eye on DJ Reed, Richard Sherman, this guy, 12 quarterbacks or, 5 cornerbacks, whatever it is. And one of them gets signed and he goes, see, and it's like, that's now look, Frankie, I had a comment the other day on one of my videos. I think it was the one I said Vegas upped the Jets to 5.5 wins or 7.2. I said some shit. It was just, I literally said, I saw a comment and this is what it means. So, or this is what it is. So what do you think it means? Kind of a video. Dude, I had this long diatribe of a comment that said, you're the worst journalist I've ever seen. I said, well, that'd be fantastic if I was a journalist. You know what I mean? Frankie, Am I a journalist?
No, I don't think so.
Right.
I think we're commentators.
At best. You know what I mean? At best. But that's a funny thing. But yeah, man, I mean, look, guys, Frankie, myself, Ryan, Jeremy, everybody out there, Matt, we're guys that are looking at the information that's out there, the public domain. A couple of us have a couple sources, but nothing, I don't have access to Joe Douglas or anything like that. I got a guy who tells me stuff. But generally speaking, we're just guys that are trying to make sense of all the compiled information so we can talk about it. We don't have the ins. For the guys that have the ins, they should be telling us stuff, or at least good, interesting tidbits from a vantage point that we don't have. Fair enough, Frankie? That's what it should be.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I keep pointing out David Wyatt Hupton. Now, David, for example, does original journalism. That means when he wants to find out about Irvin Charles, he calls up Irvin Charles's head coach in college, and says, tell me about the kid. And he does. And he says, can I go on the record with this? And he says, yeah, go ahead. And that's called original report. That's a journalist right there.
Right. That's a journalist.
That's a journalist. When he has I don't know how he gets his phone number. How did he get Coach Tortorella's phone number? I don't know, but he knows. And that's, and then when you see things like that, you stick with that person, especially when he has a free newsletter that's way better than anything that Country Club Connor is going to write. So, and it's free. It comes right into your inbox every day.
Every day.
Better, and it's better than Connor Hughes. Why not? I mean, stick with that.
Yeah, it's called the Jet Way. It sounds like Frankie is a subscriber. I will let you guys know I am as well. I don't read it every day, but it's there every day. And when I do, it's always good. Yeah. I saw Hupton on Richie's show the other day. Oh, and he did a great job. He did a great job. That's the thing, right? There are some guys out there that are still trying to do this stuff. And then there are guys that make like the guys that no matter when you read their tweets or whenever you read their posts or whatever, articles, you get mad. You know what I'm saying? You ever notice that? Like you read these articles and you're like, fucking, this is bullshit. That's by design. They want me to feel. Why do you want me to feel so bad? I had a tough day. I just want to read. I want to sit on the toilet and read an article about fucking Victor Green. What's he doing today? That's all I want.
It's literally designed to piss you off. I mean, they come up with it from that point of view.
Yes.
Meanwhile, people like David just goes, let's do a deep dive into Irvin Charles. Like
Right.
nobody, that's not exactly going to make you mad. But
That's
he
right.
writes an in-depth article about the pluses and minuses. I haven't seen any other articles about Irvin Charles. Nobody even knows who the guy is.
They don't even know he's there yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they don't care. When they hang out there, they probably all just hang out with each other and shoot the shit about golf and everything else.
That's gotta be.
Harry says, gripe intelligently should be on a shirt. Well, it is, Harry. If you ever perused my my merch store on greenbeanjetsfan.com, my friend. Yeah, gripe intelligently.
I think Harry's saying, why aren't you modeling the shirt right now, Green Bean? Because how are people supposed to know what a t-shirt's going to look like on them if they don't see it on you, sir?
I'm going to tell you, Frankie, seeing it on me hopefully has no indication of what it will look like on you. That's what I can say about that. But yeah, we got all sorts of shirts on there. You know what? I did model a Jets coat, a coat that we were giving away for the original 3 years ago. The draft on Talking Jets, me, Matt, and Gangrene David and Ryan and everybody. And I took a picture of me modeling the jacket. I'll never do that again. It was fucking 2 weeks of memes and comments, and it was no good. So what's up, everybody? Frankie and I are here. We're going to make sense out of a few topics today, but I really think tonight we're going to have an opportunity to get to a lot more of your comments. As always, we try really hard to read and get to comments when we can. The way to jump the line is what Buffalo Jets fan just did. These are called super chats. They are sincerely appreciated. And those are the ones that we make sure that we get to. In addition to that, we do our best. Jeremy's here. Watch UK is here. And they try to tell me when there are some comments that maybe I should look at and all that sort of stuff. They also tell me when you guys are being jerks. So don't do that. We had to ban somebody last week. I think it was something like that. But Buffalo Jets fan, you guys know him. He's out and about making fun videos on Buffalo Jets fan on YouTube. And he says, can't stay long tonight, but have a great show and keep grinding. Well, thank you. We will keep grinding, as a matter of fact. And I wish you the same grind, my friend. That's what it is. So thank you. Let's see what Jeremy is saying. Oh, there it is. Got it. Okay. So, Frankie, I wanted to talk about something. I just made a video on this earlier. And it's funny because by comparison to a lot of other maybe subjects, like a deep dive on Irv, our what the hell school is he from again? FYU, like what is it again? Do you know? USA? So I forget. Right?
It's actually a school near me. It's called Indiana University of Pennsylvania. There's Indiana, Pennsylvania, confusing as that may be.
There you go. IUP. There it is. So but look, right now it is something going on, and it is interesting, and to some people it's downright important, Frankie. So we're going to talk about it. There has been a lot of discussion, let's call it, about the numbers that the rookies are taking and the new free agents are taking that we signed, and a couple of them that stand out. One is, we'll start with Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson, as we know, was number 5 in college. And when he came here, whether he wants that number or not, we just know that he has somebody in his way, and that's Mike effing White. And number 5 is interesting because there's another player that could want number 5 too. We'll get to him in just a minute. But so Garrett Wilson has been walking around with number 17. What do you feel? What do you think? Would you rather see him in, what was that? Would you rather see him in the number 5, or do you like 17? Where do you stand on this? Does it matter? If it did matter, how would you feel?
Well, the only thing I could think about is he does have Garrett Wilson Roman numeral 5 in all of his social media. You all right?
Yeah, I'm kind of spotty. I'm going in and out. Are you good?
I'm good. We might have Pixel Bean.
Yeah. Hey, just keep going.
So keep
going,
Garrett
Frankie.
Wilson. Yeah, Garrett Wilson has Roman numeral 5 in his social media, in his Instagram and his Twitter and all like that. And he was number 5, at Ohio State. So my theory was he must really like the number 5. And if he was the 5th, Garrett Wilson the 5th, that something like that, then he might really be fond of number 5. But I don't know that. I don't think he's ever said anything like that. But of course, he'd have to pay Mike White, and Mike White should be, kind of like rubbing his hands together, going, hello, come over here, young fella. We can make a deal. We can swing something. I'm just the backup quarterback. I need a little cashola, and make him pay up. I don't think Mike White has any particular affinity for number 5 that we're aware of, so he can switch. He can be number 6. You're muted, Bean.
But that jersey, Frankie, did happen to make it all the way to Canton. So maybe he does suddenly have an affinity toward it. You know what I mean? Like
because of that. Because of that. Yeah, I mean, maybe. But on the other hand, I mean, if he can make a little cashola, you got to cash in when you can.
Yeah, and you never know. I mean, these prices that we hear for these jerseys numbers, it gets high. Kayvon Thibodeau is rumored to have given $50,000 to the charity of the player that held the number 5 for the New York Giants. He gave him $50,000 donation to his charity. So that cost him $50,000. They laced it up in something positive, which is nice. But we can see, I mean, I think Le'Veon Bell gave Marcus May a new car, didn't he? Something along those lines. So it can be crazy. But so Sauce Gardner came in, and he was number 20, which was Marcus May for the last couple of years. Actually, interestingly, he was Marcus May since Marcus May sold 26 to Le'Veon Bell, interestingly enough. So, but now he's got number 1 because he paid DJ Reed, who had only had number 1 for the New York Jets for what was maybe a half an hour. And seemingly he made some money on it. So Sauce Gardner getting number 1 was very important to a lot of Jets fans, man. What do you think about that? Like Sauce Gardner, it was clearly important to him, and it was important to Jets fans, and he got it. What do you think of that?
Well, if it's important to Sauce, and if it's going to, make him more comfortable and turn him into awesome Sauce, then great. I don't really have any, I'm not sure why there's so much attached to it. I don't know. If he was number 20, I wouldn't care if he was, but if it makes him happy and makes him play better, great.
Yeah. Well, right. So then when number 20 got released, it seemed like it was important to somebody else because Breece Hall, who was given number that caused the most uproar. So we had guys freaking out. He's not a 35. 35 is a big, like a fullback-ish kind of running back. People didn't like it one bit, and seemed like Breece Hall didn't like it either because the second that 20 became available, he grabbed it from Sauce Gardner, and he was 28 in college. So now he's kind of right. It looks the same. If you kind of have the ball in your hand and you're running, you only see the top of it. It looks just like 28. So maybe that's good too. So some of these guys are getting their numbers, but here's what we're leading up to, Frankie, is that when Jermaine Johnson did his initial tour in the Jets locker room, he got to number 11, to the locker with number 11, Denzel Mims, and he said, "Ooh, I got to work on some business with this one." So clearly what he's saying is, I want number 11. And yesterday, I think it was, Denzel Mims tweeted out a little picture of him wearing number 15. So what do you think this all means, Frankie? You think that the business negotiations are underway? You think they're completed? You think it's just, hey, Denzel Mims put up a picture of himself in college? What do you think it is?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we don't know how attached Jermaine Johnson is to his number, but I think what Phil Adams is saying here is right. Phil Adams has it right. Our buddy Phil Adams from all the way from jolly old England has it right in that let Mimsy get a new fresh start this year without having to leave. He doesn't have to leave. He can stay right here and get a fresh start with a new number and have a much better year. Look forward to it. And that's the way to do it. That's the way I look at it. He can get a fresh start, get a little money from the main man, Jermaine. And that sounds good to me.
You know what? That's exactly where I went with it too. It's like, okay, we have a new body on Mims. He's bigger chest, more defined beefier looking shoulders. Did you see the little tweets that came out of the wide receiver workouts yesterday? The speed drills?
Footwork's looking good, and that's the most important part.
That's right. Well, I think even more important than the actual footwork itself, which was good, was his face. He was zeroed in. He was laser focused. He was intense. He just looked super engaged. And that's the Denzel Mims that was at Baylor. That's the Denzel Mims we had rookie year. So it's just so nice to see it. So I agree with you, Phil. I think it's a good thing. Denzel Mims, maybe he goes, you know what, man? Give me $1,000, so whatever it is. Yeah, if you want to, just to make it official, sure. Give me something. We'll donate it to, St. Jude or whatever. And go ahead and take 11. But here's the problem with Denzel Mims. If he wants number 15, guess who's got that? Eddie Pinheiro. And Eddie Pinheiro, we like to think kickers, just shut up and take the fucking number that we give you, Mr. Kicker. We're going to give you number 9, but I want 6. You're number 9. Like, that's how it goes with kickers, right? Now, Eddie Pinheiro, though, on the other hand, has had 15 for a while. That's his number. So he wanted that number when he got here. So I don't know how reluctant he would be to give up 15. Now, if he is resistant, Denzel Mims, his other number in college was number 5, and that's the Mike F. and White Garrett Wilson. They're already in a scrum over there for number 5. So it's getting sticky in here, Frankie. You got 15s. Everybody wants 15. Everybody wants number 1. Everybody wants number 5. So I think if I had my druthers, Jermaine Johnson would get his number. Let Denzel Mims put this whole 2-year period to bed. Start your career right now. Year 3, you've done some good things. You've done some bad things. Let's start fresh right now. You're wide receiver 5. You're going to get as many opportunities as you need to impress or fall off the map. And that'll be that. Wear a fresh number. Jermaine Johnson gets number 11. Garrett Wilson, sorry, you got to start with 17. It's a great number. It'll be your number. Mike F. and White keeps his. Breece Hall gets number 20. Sauce Gardner gets number 1. And Eddie Pinheiro will take whatever's left over. Somebody said in the comments, it'd be nice to see Eddie Pinheiro take 0-0 if they allow to do that. That would be cool, right? A kicker having 0-0.
He could be number 99. What about that?
Oh my God. Can they do that?
Why not?
I think they only get 1 to 19 kickers.
Didn't they change the rules last year with the numbers? I don't know if that applied to kickers.
They did, but I think kickers were still 1 to 19. But they got to add that 0. That would be hilarious. I don't know if we could allow it here for the Jets, though.
In college, they do that. I see 99 on punters and kickers in college. I don't see why we couldn't.
That's nuts. I'll tell you, man. Because number 99 is and always will be Brian Thomas for the New York Jets. You know this.
What? Brian Thomas? What are you talking about?
Like what? He had 99 too? Yeah, Brian Thomas was 99 for 11 years. I think it was 10 or 11 years, but still, it's gas to know all day, every day.
Yeah,
but yeah. So, hey, Kyle Ornsby checking in, and we'll get back to some. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. I didn't get to the bottom of the chat yet, but I'll look at it in a second. Kyle Ornsby, thank you for the super chat. He says, hold Mike White down, give him a swirly and tell him thanks for the Bengals game and take number 5 and give it to our potential wide receiver 1.
Imagine Denzel as wide receiver 1 this year. How good would we be?
That's right. Hey, listen, Frankie, to that point, if Denzel Mims is wide receiver 4 this year,
yeah, really,
we're beastly. Like, seriously, man.
Seriously, yeah.
And like what I would like, it's like, I don't need this worst to first shit. It's like I was having all these discussions. It seemed to be the week of Zach Wilson because of the Brady Quinn quotes, and we'll get there a little bit later. But we were talking a lot about Zach Wilson, and Zach Wilson, I learned through these conversations, is that a lot of people are expecting Zach Wilson to have a second year jump. But the jump that a lot of people are expecting him to have, Frankie, is to jump to Josh Allen's year 3. They want they don't realize that Josh Allen had a second year where it was an incremental jump. He didn't go from worst to first. He went from worst to 21st to 5th. That's how it happened. But a lot of people, they're saying, I got a text this week, or it was on Twitter, I think. He said, if Zach Wilson doesn't throw 37 or 35 to 37 touchdowns like Josh Allen did in year 2, then he's a bust. I said, well, that's going to be weird because Josh Allen didn't throw 37 touchdowns year 2. That was fucking year 3. Yeah. So it's just a funny thing. So worst to first, while I'd be excited, it doesn't need to happen, right, Frankie? Denzel Mims can go from the atrocious year last year to come in, get 35 to 45 receptions, 500 yards, just somebody hey, he's on it. He's back. He's good. Yeah. He's blocking all this stuff. And we know that we can factor him in next year if we do want to let Corey Davis go or if somebody else, whatever. We know we have him. And that's all I need to see. Do you expect more, or would you require a worst to first for Denzel Mims for you to be happy?
No, I want Denzel to contribute. I want him to contribute and be a solid contributor. And I think that he will, because I have been watching film on him, by the way. And there's lots of times, like the Dolphins game, for example, where he's wide open and Zach Wilson throws it 10 feet over his head. 2 or 3 times that happened in that game. Yeah. What do you want Denzel to do? He can't jump 10 feet. That's not possible. Nobody can do that.
Not even him.
Not even him. He ran his route beautifully. So you can talk about route running all you want. There's routes he runs beautifully. Some he needs footwork improvement, no doubt about it. But if he runs his route, he's wide open. Zach throws it 10 feet over his head. There's nothing he can do about it. So I just really want him to be a contributor. I want Zach Wilson to throw him the ball properly so he can catch it. It goes hand in hand. And I just want him to be a contributor, be wide receiver 4 or 5 on this team. And that is going to be a massive improvement. He doesn't have to be wide receiver 1. If we have a team where a contributing and good, Denzel Mims is wide receiver 4, that means our team is really good at passing the ball around. And that's good enough for me.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, man. And look, I think what I see is just speaking to that play that you just brought up about, the Zach Wilson, not hitting them and all kinds. There were all kinds of factors, but I think most people just assume Denzel Mims blew that route. Clearly, Zach Wilson knows what he's doing. Denzel Mims doesn't know the playbook, which there's never been confirmation of any of that stuff. And I'm sure he had his issues because they were making him learn three positions. They went on record saying that, but it's just, I think that's where a lot of people assume. Clearly, that was Denzel Mims.
I mean, sometimes it was. Sometimes you see on tape that Denzel doesn't run the route properly. Denzel has a penalty. He's not perfect. But there's other times when he runs the perfect route and he's wide open and Zach tries to find him and he throws it over his head. And and a lot of them, they were touchdowns. There's a couple of plays against the Dolphins. There were 2 touchdowns right there. Just throw it to him, Zach. And, and you see what Zach was under pressure and, and it happens. Going on. You can't be perfect. And a lot happened. Rookies make, every quarterback makes bad throws. And we just didn't have enough opportunities. Really, as an offense, too. Our offense wasn't good for a large part of the year.
Pretty much most of the year. A large part, meaning the larger part of the year. So Ant Jet's checking in. What's up, Ant Jet? Says, I just thought of this. Mims would look great in 88.
Good idea.
Well, you know who has it now, don't you?
Who does have it?
Kenny Yeboah is number 88.
No. Kenny Yeboah is
86.
4.
I'm looking at the roster right now. They're saying 88.
He switched it?
I think so. So that's interesting. That's why I tricked you there. Now, if this is not updated, he was 83, I thought, last year.
83, right. He started out at 48 in preseason. Then he switched because he was 84 in college. He switched it to 48 when he got on the practice squad. Then when he was on the 53, he was 83. You're right.
See if there's an update. Yeah, it says 83 here too, but for some reason on the new Jets, is this new? Jermaine Johnson's on there. He's got number 52 on here, so it's kind of new. Well, anyway, that would be good. I think Denzel Mims with 88 would be fantastic. I really do agree.
Great idea. Yeah.
Let's lobby for this.
Old fashioned. See, that's old fashioned. We grew up. If you were a wide receiver, you had to be in the 80s.
That's right.
You didn't have a choice. You couldn't be these fancy numbers, 17, 11, 6, 4. You didn't have that. You had the 80s. That's it.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, man. Remember Keyshawn Johnson was the first one in my world.
Right.
19.
And it's thing.
It was a big thing.
It was like a big thing. Like, what? We're gonna have a receiver 19? What is this?
Yeah, it was crazy town. And now it's like 19. Like, look, Garrett Wilson gets 17, and we're like, he should have number 5. You know, it's like I think we're it's a changing world, Frankie. All things will change, and here we are.
But he could do the throwback thing. He could just say, "Hey, I'm throwback. I'm going back to the old traditions."
Right. I like it. Look, R&R says Mims should just tell JJ, if you want 11, go get 15 from the kicker and it's yours. There you go. Now, see how Mims is, see how smart he is, right? There you go.
Work it.
Just dangle it out there. Say, I'll give you this for free if you go get me 15.
Yeah. That's not a problem. And Pinheiro should take whatever money he can get. He was on the street before we brought him in. He was just sitting there.
Well, Frankie, though, they like him because they gave him a $2.4 million contract, if I remember correctly. Do you have that different? I think it's 2.4.
I wonder, that may be so, but then if he goes to the practice squad, it may not be, it may change. I don't think the practice squad guys are allowed to make that much.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what? I'm actually gonna, after this show, I'm gonna forget to look that up, Frankie. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna forget all about it
because they signed him to that deal, and we said, okay, Eddie Pinheiro's coming back, but then they signed Zerline. So
Zerline, yeah.
So we got Zerline, and so I don't know if Pinheiro is relegated to the practice squad. I don't think he's allowed to make that much on the practice squad. So. But I'm not sure about that.
But maybe with that vet stuff, you know what I mean? Like you can have vets. What, like I think it's 8 spots or something along those lines. That
but
you can
do they make their regular money? Do they make their regular contract, or do they have to get a practice squad contract, like a mini contract?
Yeah, I mean, would it go up and down? Like, let's say they spend 4 weeks on the practice squad. Do they get docked during that time? I don't think a lot of vets would be willing to do it as much. Then maybe I don't know. That's interesting. I have to look that up. I want to look that up.
There's two different. One thing I know about the practice squad, other than if you sign a contract, a regular old contract, and then get relegated, there are 2 different practice squad contracts. One for a veteran and one for somebody with less than 2 years. And the less than 2 years, the max you can make for the year is like $161K, and the greater than 2 years, the max you can make is about $252K. So that I know. But I don't know how it pertains if you sign a big boy contract, regular contract, and then you kind of get downgraded to the practice squad, because I don't think that's normal.
Yeah, you know what? I'd like to actually refresh my memory on that. When COVID came and they changed everything, I ingested it. So from like, I wanted to know every single detail, but it's kind of lessened. I haven't kept fresh on it. So, yeah, I'll look into that too. Zach P checking in. Thanks, Zach. He says, greetings, GreenBean and Frankie. Who do you predict will earn a second contract with us from our rookie class? Oh, who do you think's most likely to stick around? Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, obviously we're high on everybody right now. We're like, we love them. They're all of them, all 7 of them, Zach. But realistically, who do you think has probably, like the best chance of earning that second contract, that elusive second Joe Douglas contract?
Breece Hall, just kidding. The chat's going, a running back? Are you crazy? No, it's probably Sauce Gardner. I mean, he was our highest pick. He plays a premium position. He's considered the safest cornerback in the draft because of Stingley's injury thing. So I'd say if I had to pick one, probably Sauce Gardner. We were thrilled to get him. And he plays a premium position and just has, he is who he is. So probably Sauce.
Sauce Gardner. I think he's a really good. The thing is with running backs, while I do think Breece Hall might be the one to have the most immediate impact, I really do believe that. I think running back. I mean, I bet they're planning to give that boy the ball, man. They're going to give him the ball early and often. So I think Breece Hall might have the bigger impact than a lot of other people right away. But 5 years from now, 4 years, but he might, they might be looking at the next guy for all we know. So that's tough with running backs. I do miss the olden days, Frankie, where you had your running back, you had your team for 8 years, 10 years. They were just your guys, and they get better together. And maybe we're looking at something like that. Maybe we're on the precipice of some longevity here. That'd be nice. But you know what? I would say, so Sauce is a good guess. I'm going to say Max. What the hell's his name? I lost
Mitchell.
Mitchell. I was going to say Hunter. What the hell? I'm like, wait a minute. Max Mitchell. And I'll tell you why.
Well, I could see that.
right? Because he's more than likely not going to play. They got him as a pipeline guy, right? That's what they did. Now he's probably not going to play this year if all things go according to plan and there's no injuries. He's not going to play. But I do believe that they'll give him the ability next year. Like if we're not able to sign Fant, I bet Max Mitchell will be in the conversation, especially having been here for a year. They'll kind of know what they have. And if he does start, we're talking about a guy who could be, he's going to be a right tackle, most likely. He can play probably both, I forget. But he's going to be a tackle. Tackles are very valuable. If he's your guy and you have him here for 4 or 5 years, and 4 of them or 3 of them are on the field, that's the kind of guy you want to keep around. You don't want to have to look around for tackles because your quarterback needs them, right? And if an offensive line gels together, you want to keep those guys around. So I think Max Mitchell is a good guess for that as well. But that said, Zach, I do think we have a good opportunity for a lot of these guys to stick around. I'm really liking them. Let me see here. So I see a couple. There was another comment that wasn't a super chat, but I lost it. So let's get to Jake right here. Was that the one I just did? Oh, no, Jake. Thanks, Jake. He says, I still hate whoever made kicking part of football. Just give them the red practice jersey. You literally can't hit them. Give Mims number 15. I also saw a comment in there that said, why are we talking about wide receiver 5 so much? It's like, well, because it's happening right now. That's why. And we just, that's why, because it's happening right now. That's why. Now, I don't know. I actually think, Jake, I miss kickoffs being something. You know what I mean? Like maybe that's not what you're talking about. You're talking about the PATs and all that sort of stuff, and the field goals. But I actually like that there's another variable in the game of football. Like, so you have the chance to get points. You can't get all the way down there, but you get less because it adds a wrinkle of thought. You have to consider, what are the likelihoods? If let's say you're down 10, it's 2 minutes left. And we always get so mad if they only get to the 30-yard line, you're thinking, get the touchdown. But in the back of your head, it's smarter. Get the points. You need them both. Get it. If you're struggling on this drive, just get the points, and then we can onside kick it, try whatever we got to do next. But it doesn't matter if you get the touchdown, you get the 3, you still need to get down there and score again. So you take the more likely points rather than come out of that with none. And I think kicking is kind of fun. And again, I miss the kickoffs meaning something, Frankie. I don't know. It bothers me. Like I used to value my return men, most recently, Brad Smith and Antonio Cromartie. I mean, when they got the ball in their hand on those kickoffs, they could break it any time. And I miss that. What is it? 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 are touchbacks these days. You know what I'm saying, man? What do you think about the kicking? Do you hate it? Love it? Where are you?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, it is called football. It's not called handball. It's a whole different sport or game. So I think and don't forget when they invented football or came up with it back in the day, 1900, whenever it was, 1917 or whatever, the forward pass was illegal. You were not allowed to do a forward pass. So they had to figure out a way to advance the ball somehow other than just run into people. So I think that's kind of why they came up with this football kind of a thing, because they didn't think the forward pass was a bright idea. So I think that's where it comes from. And yeah, it adds a different element. I mean, it's kind of random. It's like, I understand the sentiment that Jake has here, because it's like, this is so random. Like this skill of kicking an oblong football through the uprights. It's like, what does that have to do with all the other parts of the game, which are so physical and require so much technique and skill and athleticism and all of that? And then there's this one part of the game where it's just a guy kicking the oblong football through the uprights. That's weird, because what does that have to do with anything? But
yeah, you're right.
There's
it is. That's a weird skill. You're right. You know what I mean? What do you do for a living? I kick the weirdest shaped ball on earth.
I try to make it go straight. And it's
between 2 sticks. Yeah. And if I could do it from far away, boy, am I a hero. Yeah. If I can't, they hate me. And other than that skill to kick that ball, I would never be allowed anywhere near this group of men.
These people who are monsters. And And there used to be barefoot kickers. There's no
Yeah, yeah. Remember
are there
them?
any more barefoot kickers anymore?
I don't think so.
anybody.
It's
Yeah.
probably unsanitary now, Frankie. They don't want to deal with
Right.
that shit. You know what I mean?
And and then the barefoot kickers would have to be barefoot in the snow and the cold and all that. That was pretty cool. Like the barefoot kickers coming out in the snow.
Yeah.
What's going on here? Those were the days, but
Yeah.
they don't do that anymore either.
Now, I want to point this out too. Old Dave Echeverry says Clemens should have no number. They already know who he is.
The memes for that guy are just going to be for days and days and days.
Yeah, but this is a good one because generally speaking, I think most people are just going over to the Chuck Norris site and applying it to Michael Clemens. But this is good. I don't know if there's a Chuck Norris meme that sounds like this, but this is good, Dave. This is a goodie.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got another one. Jets New York 102. Thanks for the super chat, buddies. I don't care what numbers they wear. All I know is that we better not get destroyed at the home opener. Oh my God, NJ.
Why are you bringing up bad memories?
Yeah.
Don't you know that GreenBean was scarred? They had him on one Jets drive. They were filming him.
Yeah.
And it was going to be the greatest day ever until Zach Wilson started throwing the ball.
Jesus. Well, you know what, Frankie? It actually started before that. We got a fumble. I think it was an interception or a fumble recovery. There was no good reason why that wasn't our ball in their red zone.
Yeah.
And they just said inadvertent whistle. That's the way it started. I knew it right then.
Inadvertent whistle. Yeah. Because at first, what didn't they say? He was stopped. His forward motion was stopped.
Something like that.
And then they said it wasn't a fumble because his forward motion was stopped. Give me a break.
Yeah, well, yeah, they blew. I know it was such horseshit, and they do that stuff all the time with the Patriots, but I knew it right then. And then, so following that, when Zach threw that interception, I looked right at O'Leary. I said, "You know what we're about to watch, right?" He goes, "Yep." Yeah, this is that game. We already know it. The air got sucked out of that stadium in the first 4 minutes.
Yeah,
ridiculous. But you know what? At 102, you're right, and this is the whole thing. The NFL, if we just take a step back and take off our fan hat and our biases, and we just look at what the NFL did to us, did to this team, the New York Jets. They gave them one of, if not the most difficult schedule to start the season, and we had the 4th overall pick last year. Why wouldn't we start our season against the Texans, the Jaguars, the Lions, the Bears? We play them. Why would you not sprinkle one of them in there? Now, again, it is what it is. It's not necessarily complaining. As I'm saying, let's take off our hat and just look at it objectively. I've had two other teams' fans that I know that have reached out to me and said, "Damn, boy, you guys that's not easy for you. What's the NFL doing? Who'd you piss off over there?" And it's true. It's like, why the entire AFC North, one of which was a Super Bowl team last year, 2 of which were Super Bowl contenders last year, and the other one who's been a perennial playoff contender. It's like in a row to start the season. Has that ever even happened before? You know what I mean? Who the hell plays an entire the division that you don't usually play? How has that ever happened? I don't know if I've ever seen that before, Frankie.
I mean, at this point, if we expect to get any breaks at all, we're out of our minds. The referees, the schedule makers, the television broadcast people, we're not getting any breaks until we start winning, until we start earning our way out of the ghetto. We're not getting any breaks. We're in the ghetto. And when you're in the ghetto, you get what people you get ghetto stuff.
You get ghetto stuff. Yeah, that's it. And they're not, it's like the whole system is, remember that guy Shap a couple of years ago? It was actually a little over a year ago when the Jets were winless and it looked like we were going to get Trevor Lawrence. He put that article out, or that, not even an article, but a little show. And he said, the NFL should change their rules because a team like the Jets should not be rewarded with a transcending character like Trevor Lawrence. And he's getting punished. And it's like, okay, the NFL's system is theoretically designed to create parity, to have that cyclical kind of recycling, that when you're on the bottom, there's a set system to embolden you and bolster you and give you an opportunity to get back on your feet to compete. Right? That's what is the good teams don't need the first overall pick, and on and on. And that's how you spread the wealth. The same thing goes with the schedule making. So the fact that we had the 4th overall pick and we end up with this friggin' schedule is a little weird. I mean, again, it'll be what it'll be. And you never know what teams are going to be. Every year there's that team that's supposed to be great and they suck. And there's a team that's supposed to suck and they're good. It happens every year. We don't know. Maybe it's the entire AFC North and we got lucky. Who knows? But from the outside looking in, Frankie, it looks like some bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you. So Kevin C. Junkin in says, Zach called Clemens. Brady Quinn is missing. There you go. There's a good one, Kevin. Clemens, look, and Brady Quinn, it's funny. A lot of people said, who the hell's Brady Quinn? Like, where's he been for, he sucked in the NFL and then he disappeared. Now he pops back up and he says this stuff. Now, I will tell you, Brady Quinn actually, I don't know if he still does it, but he's been on Sirius for years. He had a show with, who was it? The Ross, maybe. He had that show and it was pretty good. Brady Quinn, actually, I actually like him as an announcer, but yeah, I think what he's doing right here, guys, and we can break this one open a little bit, Frankie. I think what he's doing is he's looking at it now, maybe trying to get some clicks and all that. But if you look at it, it could look like that, guys. Like, let's again take our hats off, our Jets hats, and just look at it. The Jets, who have won 4 games last year, 2 games the year before, have had myriad coaches and GMs and butt fumbles and all this sort of shit, are playing the Ravens, the Bengals, the Browns, the Steelers, and then we go into the Patriots, the Bills, and it could look grim. Frankie, you think there's any validity to his thought that the Jets season will be over by the bye?
No, but I do have a way we can have some fun with this.
Ooh, yeah, let's do it.
I think we could take what Brady Quinn said and have some fun. Now we gotta win some games. This isn't gonna help us if what he says comes true. But if we win a couple of games early in the year, like let's say we go 2-2, and he said, I think what he said was we could be 0-9 or 1-8, something like that.
Yeah, he said 1-8, potentially 0-9.
Right. So if we win 2, so the second we win 2 games, the time, the minute we win the second game, I think all Jet fans should flood Brady Quinn's social media, his Twitter, his Facebook, whatever social media he has, his Instagram, with 2 hashtags. Brady was wrong and Jetnation says hello. And you flood everywhere, every comment section, every reply, and we just thousands and thousands and thousands of hashtags like that. It's sort of like, when there's a rap beef and somebody insults Eminem or something like that, and then the reporter goes, this rapper insulted you, Mr. Eminem. What do you say to that? And they give him the microphone, and he just goes, who?
Yeah.
And then the stands for Eminem, all the Eminem fans flood the unknown rapper's social media with the word who, and it's like a 10,000 million who's who. So I think we should take a page out of that book and just say Brady was wrong and Jetnation says hello.
There you go. See, guys. So, and look, I'm one who believes that we're going to win the opening game, and we'll get into why, as we get into training camp and everything, that will either support or destroy my thoughts. But I do believe, guys, and I can lean homer at times. I'm not a homer, but I can lean that way if I allow myself to, right? I happen to believe that the past 2 years, really 3, have been designed to lead to this season that we are ready to compete. Now, I don't think we're ready to go to the Super Bowl or anything, like, who knows, Cinderella stories happen. But I do think this is the year that we've been aiming for to come out and compete. And I think the types of players that we've added are very, very specific, very deliberate. It's like we added guys that'll knock your friggin' pants off. And we added, higher levels of talent, 3 first-round picks. Why? Because we don't need fifths. We got enough of those. We want essentially 4 first-round talents. That's what we want to bring in here on top of Elijah Moore and Zach Wilson and ABT. and all those guys. So I think that we're going to come out and we are going to surprise the Ravens, even though they're a good organization. They're well run, they're well coached, and they're not a team that generally gets taken by surprise. I still think that it's going to happen. I think we're going to come out and hit them harder than they expected us to be able to hit. It's been a minute since we've played each other, and it's going to take them a moment to catch it. And by that time, the game's going to be over, and we're going to have already scored more points than them. And that's what I think, Frankie. I think we're going to win. I know you put down a loss, I think, for week one.
No.
Oh, you
put
did
a win.
Nice.
I say we're winning because I think we're going to learn the lesson from the Dolphins. I think we're going to play, what they call the muddle defense. Let's put 9 guys at the line of scrimmage. Okay, figure this out, Lamar. Figure this one out. We got 9 guys standing there at the line of scrimmage. You figure out who's coming and who's going. Good luck. We're bringing the house. By the way, we got Sauce Gardner. He's going to be one-on-one. We can put DJ Reed can be one-on-one. If you need safety help, we got a safety for him. Everybody else is coming. We're bringing everybody.
There you go. I like it. It's going to be fun to see our 4 down linemen generate pressure. Dude, Carl Lawson has to stay healthy.
Yeah.
We got to be able to see this guy on the field.
Yeah.
It's a damn travesty, Frankie. I don't like that we can't see him. And it's going to be exciting because we added Jermaine Johnson and Vinnie Curry and Michael Clemens. And then you got the lower tier guys, the Jacob Martins, the Bradley Anais, to go with, the Bryce Huffs and all those guys.
Well,
so it's
the good news is if you can cover, you can give those guys more time to get there. If you can cover and confuse the quarterback, those guys will have enough time to get home. And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. I mean, look, Saleh has said, as has Joe Douglas, that the way to get a great receiver out of the game is to get the quarterback. And I do believe, there are 2 schools of thought, and they're always kind of button heads a little bit, Frankie. And one is you get great cornerbacks, give your guys time to get home. And the other one is you get really good pass rushers and the cornerbacks don't have to cover anymore or for all that long. You know what I mean? So I do see both sides. I tend to lean toward, if you're going to focus on one of those 2 areas, I would always prefer pass rush. But interestingly, this offseason, we found a way to do both.
Yeah, and I do both.
Yeah.
Because don't forget, the best pass rushers in the world, get home, get a pressure once every 7 or so pass rush snaps. Those are the best.
Yeah.
TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, the best of the best. So that means most of the time they're not even getting a pressure. So you got to do both, in my opinion. I don't think it's either or. To me, it's both. I like both. I like and both.
And both. And that's the thing. So that's what we've done. Again, you guys know I said many times I thought that it would be prudent or at least acceptable to run it back with the cornerbacks that we had. The Jets saw differently. So they brought in 2 cornerbacks, not one, a 4th overall pick and a statistically viable cornerback. I think it was top 5, top 10, something like that, DJ Reed.
And the nice thing about that is now if anybody gets injured, we now have starters on the bench. How nice is it to have Bryce Hall on the bench? That's a nice bench player to bring in if you need him,
That's right. And to the voices that say, hey, we should trade Bryce Hall. It's like, I don't know what anybody's been watching, but we get injured a lot. Like our 3rd, 4th stringers, they play. They play, man. If you could have 2 deep with starting caliber, I think that would be a wise move. Let's not forget, Bryce Hall is making 5th round money right now.
Yeah,
there is no reason to jettison a NFL caliber cornerback who's making chump change by comparison to the rest of the contracts for his position. There's no reason for that. And we have him for 2 more years. Now, if somebody came down the pike and said, look, I need a cornerback, I'm willing to give you a 1st or a high 2nd for, okay, you might have to consider that. Yeah. Same time, I think it's a better idea to have him. And I don't know, somebody's been talking to me about this, Frankie. And at first I didn't really, I don't know, I just didn't see it, but I'm starting to wonder. And it's just something I've been considering. I'm not necessarily on this side, but the idea that Bryce Hall could play free safety. What do you think of that? Now,
he's never done it. How do we know?
Oh, I'm saying, would you try it? Would you like to see them try that?
Well, let's figure this out for a second. We do have some precedent. They did it with my man Jason Pinnock. So they saw something in Pinnock that said, okay, this is a cornerback who can play safety. So here's my question. And now this is what I'm looking up right now. I'm looking up Bryce Hall's RAS score. I want to know what kind of athleticism he put on the charts. This is taking a second to load here.
I think it's incomplete. He had,
Is it?
I feel like I remember he was injured during that time when he would be doing the combine and everything.
Yeah, he doesn't have a score.
Yeah.
So the question is going to be, does he have the traits that they saw in Jason Pinnock? His size is elite. That's all they have is his size. You know, he's 6'1" and 2'8". He's 6'1" and a quarter. I mean, so he has good size to play safety. That's good. But does he have the vertical? So Jason Pinnock has incredible vertical, for example, and he's okay. He has okay speed, and so they saw some of the traits in Pinnock, and they said, okay, he can be a free safety. Does Hall have the same athleticism? I don't know. And he's never played safety. So, you know, the good news is we have Coach Oden and we have Coach Manuel. That's the good news. If anybody can turn them into safeties, it's those guys. So it's possible. We'll see. I mean, what about Michael Carter? Michael Carter played safety in college. I mean, that could be another dark horse for the free safety spot. So
yeah, it's just interesting, you know, like people were talking a while back about maybe Bryce Hall at nickel and all that. I tend to think that Michael Carter is probably going to end up being one of the better nickels we've had here for a long time. I mean, look, sometimes they have that second year dip. Jeremy, no need for that shit. None. What are you doing? Don't do that. All right, wait, real quick. Let's see here. So Kevin C says Jacoby Brissett and Mitch Trubisky in the first 4 games, 2-2 right there. Now we don't know if Brissett or Trubisky.
I was going to say, do we know that, Kevin? Has it been? I mean, there's been speculation that Deshaun's going to get suspended for 4 games, but that's speculation. That's not been announced as far as I know. Nobody knows. It seems to be the never-ending saga that never goes away. So we don't know who the Browns quarterback is going to be. Could be Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, right. It could be Baker Mayfield, right? He's still under contract. He's still there. He's still there. They're not very good friends, but hey, he's still making $18 million or whatever it was this year. So who knows? Now, the good news is that there's at least some disarray up there for the Browns. We may be able to capitalize on that. I mean, that's one of the positives, like I was talking about before. Coming out of the gate, it looks like it's a rough schedule. But if the Browns are kind of tossed around and they do have Jacoby Brissett starting, and then you get to the Steelers, they wanted to have Pickens starting, but they're stuck with Trubisky, and you know what I mean? Who knows? Maybe we do get an advantage by playing those teams early, and that would be interesting. When we look back on all this, we'll know. We'll know and we'll see. That said, if it was that way, Kevin, I think it's a little bit better than Deshaun Watson and Ben Roethlisberger, in his prime. So I think that's a good point. Arizona Jets, or it's just AZ. I assumed it was Arizona. Improved running game will help Zach a lot. Go Jets. I think so too, Frankie. Now, in free agency, we got the tight ends. We got Laken Tomlinson. We already had Elijah Moore and Corey Davis. We have Kenny Yeboah in the house. We have Denzel Mims and Braxton Berrios, who we re-signed. And then, especially after that, you went in the first round and got Garrett Wilson. I think running back, especially with hindsight, we talked about it all the time, but it really does seem like probably the best move that they could have made, at least as far as the offense is concerned. And I think Breece Hall and Michael Carter could be Zach Wilson's best friends. How do you see that one going?
Well, especially because if healthy, Mekhi Becton, the monster's coming back. And think about what an improvement Laken Tomlinson and Mekhi Becton added to the line is going to be. We all love Morgan Moses. He did a good job, but he not Mekhi Becton if Mekhi Becton is what he should be. Yeah. And Laken Tomlinson is an upgrade over GVR from the beginning of last year. So, that's 40% of your line right there. And those are huge upgrades. They're not small upgrades.
Right.
So that, to me, and then you look at it and think about our tight ends who were the worst blocking tight ends in the league last year combined.
Terrible.
terrible. And now we're going to have guys, even if we don't use Uzama to block anybody, let's say, we're going to use him as a receiver. He's a 6'6" monster. All right. We got Conklin and Rucker to block you. Okay. All right.
That's right.
Like, even if Uzama doesn't block anybody all year, we're going to use this. We're going to use him as a receiver because we need an additional one for some reason.
Yeah.
And now we have tight ends. We have an 40% improved offensive line, and we have Breece Hall, who they say his elite vision will make him deadly in this scheme.
Yeah.
Deadly. That's the word. Deadly.
It's a word.
Will be dead.
It's a good word, Frankie. We don't hear that enough out here. I mean, what do we hear every year? The Jets don't have anybody that scares teams, right? We don't have anybody that they have to game plan for. Sure, we got some talent. We can play, but it's like nobody that scares them. Now we have quite a few actually that could freak out another team. Elijah Moore, I think, is going to be just electric. Him and Zach have the year kind of growing together. I think Elijah Moore is one of those players that you could be having to pay attention to. Garrett Wilson could be one of those players. And like you just mentioned, I think Breece Hall, I mean, dude, he's the highest pedigree running back that we've brought into the Jets since Curtis Martin, period. Whether I liked running backs or not, I did. We had some running backs that I liked, but never did we bring in a guy that has the potential that Breece Hall has. And I think it's with purpose. I think it's very deliberate. And I think that teams are going to have to, game plan for him. And when they do come up to stop the run, they're deadly. Yeah. It's going to be amazing. Breece Hall's probably the player I'm most excited about. I mean, it's one of those weird little conundrums. I wanted an edge rusher. Oh, we got Breece Hall. I mean, we got Jermaine Johnson. We got wide receiver, Garrett Wilson. Yay, we got all these guys. Oh, Sauce Gardner too. Crazy, yeah. But out of all that, when it boils down, I think I'm more excited about Breece Hall and what he can open up for everybody else.
And what he does for Michael Carter. I mean, Michael Carter can now fit into the role that he's best at. He's gonna get 10 carries a game, and he's gonna run it down your throat. After Breece Hall kind of body blows, body blow all game long, trying to tackle that monster. And then here comes Michael Carter, who's very hard to tackle. I think he led the league in missed tackle rate, one of the best. And now you're tired, your technique is slipping, and here comes Michael Carter. Okay, good luck.
That's right. Mr. Missed Tackles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what's really, Frankie, what the most exciting thing about adding him to this running back room is he's another one with just super soft hands, can catch it all. And on top of that, both of them are good in pass protection. So you can have these guys on the field, either one. They can be there. They don't have to with Gase's last year. If we brought in a certain running back, they were running the ball. If you brought in another running back, they were doing the other thing. It was pretty clear. Like this, you can keep guys on the field. That's why tight ends, dual purpose tight ends, are so incredibly valuable. When you have guys that don't only do the one thing, you can keep them out there on plays that wouldn't be that thing, and therefore the defense doesn't get tipped off. You know, so. I think that could be a big point of improvement. That's something we want to do. We very much want to do, where we want to run different things out of the same formation. So we look the same, and we've run it 5 times to the right out of this same look. 5 times we did that. Now the 6th time we're going to fake that and throw it and see if you can figure it out. That's right.
And now we have the people who actually can do it. We did that last year, and it worked sometimes. And we would throw it to Ryan Griffin, and he would bumble and fumble and rumble, and then it's on the floor, and nobody, and it's over. We get exactly what we want. Here's Ryan Griffin, perfect pass, and he can't catch it.
Yeah,
it doesn't do any good if you can't execute. I mean,
correct, and that also applies to the running backs. I mean, like Ty Johnson, with all due respect, he got run over numerous times in pass protection. Like, I mean, complete, like as if he wasn't there. And we know about his drops. He had, I think it was 7 drops, or 5 or 7. I forget which one it was. And 4, I think it was 7 drops. 4 of them were on 3rd down. Unbelievable. That is,
you can't have that. And you can't have that. And then people want to say how bad Zach Wilson is. It's like, yeah, he made some bad throws, no doubt about it. But this year we're going to really see what the kid is, and we're going to see what this offense can be. We saw how creative it could be. Now we're going to see what it looks like when we have people who can actually execute the things that we're trying to run.
Yeah, I agree. So Wild Billy Boy checking in, he says, this is an interesting one, Frankie. He says, I think Woody Johnson has some side action with the CBS sports owner's wife. CBS they notoriously torch the Jets. I will say, Billy Boy, that they did give us an A. Prisco or whatever his name is, gave us an A on the draft. So there's that. But what do you think, Frankie? Do you think Woody Johnson maybe got a little something going, making people pissed off out there? That's why they don't like us?
I don't think so. I think it's just because we haven't won. When you stink, the TV people don't like you. It's like, why? It's pretty, here, the Jets game. Nobody's going to watch this. Let's put, we have that guy who's a punter, a former punter, broadcasting our games. A punter. I mean, what is a punter doing broadcasting anything? But none, okay, Pat McAfee. But other than him, as a broadcaster, we get that guy doing our games, and we went over this last year too, Billy Boy, and some of my videos where I was talking about Andrew Catalan and this one and that one. But you can't expect them to put their best broadcasting crew, on our games when we stink. All of this stuff that we think is the NFL hates us and the refs hate us and everybody hates us. It's like, well, win. You solve a lot of problems by winning. They're going to want to put their best broadcast team in the booth for you when you win, when you are actually a team that people want to watch. Nobody wanted to watch us the last 2 years. Nobody wanted to watch Adam Gase and the rest of that team. So
yeah,
that's what it really is. It's not about anything else but winning.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Now, I do think there are some personal something or others going on with Zach Wilson. I do, with specific guys out there. But I think by and large, Frankie's hitting it on the head. The truth is that we've been boring. Look, we're fans and we've hated it. Like, we're diehard fans and we've hated it. You know what I mean? So imagine the guys got to cover us. They're like, ugh, this fucking team.
I mean, Chris Collinsworth went into a whole thing that on an interview recently where he's like, look, if you have to go cover a game, you have to watch film on their offense, on their defense, and then on the other team's offense, the other team's defense. You have to know all of that. There's a lot you have to know if you're going in to cover a team and in a game. And who the heck wants to do all that work? And the team stinks and is boring to watch. It's going to be like, oh, let's just go with whatever Saleh said. Let's just broadcast that.
Yeah,
right. We won't look at the tape. We won't look at anything. Saleh told us this defensive line is awesome. Okay, I guess this defensive line is awesome.
Yeah, it's so true, man. And, that's the whole thing. It's like, and look, on top of that, we are a very responsive fan base. Like, if somebody wants to restart their career real quick, they put something out about the Jets.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Schlereth.
Yeah,
Schlereth. We remember you, Schlereth.
That's right. That's right.
And we'll remember Brady Quinn. Just remember. Now, if we don't win those 2 games, we can't do that plan, by the way.
We're gonna have to just with our tail. Yeah, we're gonna have to back out with our tail between our legs and hope that we'll have to go 8-0 in the second half of the season to shut it up. If we go 8-0, then we're okay. But
yeah, right.
Drew Pacabra, our old buddy, checking in. Drew Pacabra 7 says MC2 played free safety in college. He will most likely start. I think he's alluding to free safety. That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
That's what you were talking about. Frankie, but
it could be.
Played so well at nickel. I don't know. I find it difficult. And they didn't really bring in another nickel back unless they're thinking DJ Reed. Maybe Saleh still has that bug up his ass about DJ Reed not being an outside corner, but I doubt it, right?
No way. Not for $11 million. You don't put your $11 million cornerback in the nickel position. No.
Yeah,
but MC2, I mean, it's possible. MC2 or Jason Pinnock, or it's going to be an open competition, I think. And LaMarcus Joyner probably is in the lead right now, but MC2 could slide in there, and then you just have Jav Guidry to be the nickelback, and we could live with that. You could have a worse nickelback than Jav Guidry.
Yeah, I don't know. The way
I know you're not a fan of Jav.
Yeah, Guidry. I know. And look, I definitely don't dislike him like maybe I did when I was watching his college tape and everything. But I mean, he's done some nice things, man, and you got to give credit where credit is due. And I mean, the truth with me is if they got a helmet that says Jets on it and they run on the field, I'm rooting for them. I'm not one of those guys that wants to be right. You know what I mean? I don't give a shit. At the end of the day, I just want to enjoy my damn Sunday and watch a team win so I could talk happily about it later on with you guys. That's it. That's what I'm doing here. But that said, I do think if Javelin Guidry is on the field, it's more than likely because something didn't go right. That's just how I see it. I mean, if they're developing him and they love what they're seeing, and Tony Oden and Salah are like, nah, man, this guy's got it. He just needs a minute. Then hey, fucking do it, But I think I'd rather see Michael Carter starting, and Pinnock back at free safety or something. But if Michael Carter gives you a better chance to win roaming around the field as the free safety, maybe it'll be interesting.
Or Bryce Hall in the slot. I mean, can Bryce Hall play the slot? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. Bryce Hall, I think, will do whatever you ask him to do, right?
Well, yeah, but can he? Does he have the traits? I don't know. But the thing is, look, Tony Oden will figure it out. I mean, whatever the plan is, we'll find out in due time, and it'll probably be a good plan because it's Coach Oden and it's Coach Manuel. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, I think so. And Bryce Hall's a good guy to have around. Look, if they just felt like, hey, Bryce Hall is a very, very good backup, and that's what they think, then that's what they did, and they don't have any other grander plans. I do think that he'll be on the field in dime. And, it's not always safeties that come in, with the fifth defensive back, it's cornerbacks. So I think Bryce Hall is going to be out there a lot,
Yeah.
But it is what it is, man. You can't deny that they've at least given us options. Whether or not you think DJ Reed is an upgrade over Bryce Hall, doesn't matter. They've added, talent to the roster. They've added depth to the roster. Either way that it ends up going, there's depth and talent that we didn't have last year. And adding a guy like Sauce Gardner, I mean, clearly he's the highest, just like I said about Breece Hall and the running back, he's the highest pedigree cornerback that we brought in here in a long time, man. Since Revis, really. I mean, we drafted D. Milliner. He was uber talented, but never healthy. And he's like Stingley. I'm hoping that guy Stingley can piece together a career. But taking him at 3 overall was ill-advised. That was a little weird. But anyway, Jake checking back in. He says, good line, average running back, carried Sanchez. We got God now. Well, I don't know, God, Jake, but I like Zach Wilson too. I think that's what you're saying. But I'll tell you this. As much as Sanchez, he gets beat up a lot, and Sanchez did have his abilities. Like he threw a lot of nice balls, but overall, they did have to compensate for his inadequacies. They did. And it was very publicized. Sanchez went weeks without breaking 200 yards. I mean, weeks. Now, we had the number 1 running game in the NFL. We had a top 5 line in the NFL, number 1 defense in the NFL. So it could just be a smart game plan, but they were that way because Sanchez wasn't able. He wasn't Peyton Manning or whoever. But I'll tell you, I think Zach Wilson has far more potential than Mark Sanchez had, even as prospects. Like Zach Wilson, his arm is unbelievable. He's the strongest arm we've had in here in a long time, especially in such a young body. We've brought in strong arm guys and stuff with Michael Vick, but you know what I mean. So Zach Wilson,
his athleticism gets really underrated too.
Yeah,
he is super athletic. You watch him on film. There's a lot of times when he was really running for his life and making these monsters miss multiple times and just escape this monster, escape that monster, and then try to throw the ball. And, and it just doesn't work. But if we could just protect him and if we can get a running game going, I mean, imagine we get a running game going with this quarterback, totally. and we give him a pocket to throw from. I mean,
yeah, that's, look, Robert Saleh said it at the end of the year, Frankie. He said, one of the things we learned this year is that escapability that you're seeing from Zach, that's not fluky. That was his word. It's not fluky.
You see it on
in
tape.
His talent. That's him. That's what he does.
I mean, you see when you watch tape on other people, even a guy like Aaron Rodgers. I'm watching some tape on the Packers and the 49ers, and a guy like Aaron Rodgers, Zach's way more athletic. Now Aaron Rodgers is old, so it's not a good comparison, but the athleticism is there. It's for real. No, I would say no to this question here. He doesn't need to. He could run. He could, though. I mean, he could very well do 300, 400, 500 yards, but he doesn't need to. I mean, if you really don't want your quarterback running, if you can help it, I mean, you have your running backs to run, and you want your quarterback to throw. But if he does need, if he needs to do that, he can. He has the ability to. That's the nice thing.
Right. We saw it last year with particularly that one fantastic run down the sideline. I mean, that was unbelievable. But right. I mean, I think if Zach Wilson is running for 350 yards and it's not designed, it's a problem. Like those are called broken plays. Now, if he can make something out of it, fantastic. And I think that he can, but I would much rather that when Zach Wilson hikes the ball, that he's able to sit back there, calm, cool, and collected, and dissect defenses because they're all freaking out and worried about our running game. Like that's what I would love to see. I would rather see Zach never have to run again, unless it's designed, some sort of bootleg or something along those lines. But I think if Zach ran for 350 yards, it would probably be a bad thing. Good that he made something out of it, but bad by the scenario that we were in to get us there. Let me see here. Motive. We got too much faith in Joyner. Last time he played, he didn't look good. Well,
he played 9 snaps, bro.
Yeah, and he played it. He was playing nickelback for the Raiders.
Oh, right. If you're talking about that, right?
Yeah, but look, I don't disagree though. I motivated T. I mean, I'm a little disappointed that we didn't bring in another safety. Now they might have plans, like Frankie brings up Pinnock a lot, and who knows, maybe they are going to mess with Bryce Hall back there or something along those lines. But I'm a little disappointed. That's one of the areas that I'm not exactly happy. Like linebacker and safety, I thought were all but ignored, and because of the guys that we have in here. Like I would have been more comfortable leaving the cornerbacks alone and grabbing a linebacker and a safety than going the other way, which is what we did, 2 cornerbacks this offseason. But that is what it is. LaMarcus Joyner, I'm a little nervous about him. I am. I'm also nervous about Sherwood, Nasruddin, and Quincy Williams. But the good news is, second year in the system, Joyner didn't get to play, but he knows what the system is and all that. So at least that part of it should be behind us, that like thinking while they're on the field. So I think that part's going to be improved, and that'll be to our benefit. And who knows though, man, maybe Joyner, maybe they love him and for good reason, maybe. And maybe Sherwood is the guy, right? Frankie, how great would it be if 4th round pick Jamie Sherwood ends up being the next, Wagner or whoever it is, you know what I mean? Like, it would, be fantastic, and maybe you don't push those guys back on the depth chart too early. Maybe, they like them, they want to see them, they believe in them, and it ends up working. That would be different for us. It just doesn't happen like that for us all that much, but that would be cool, man. I would be ecstatic if they didn't address linebacker and safety and it turns out that we already have them. I would be delighted. I'd be delighted, motivated T.
Yeah, I agree. And I would say I am nervous about Joyner though. I mean, I don't have too much faith in him. I think it's, it's a wait and see situation. So, with Joyner, it's a wait and see situation, and Pinnock and the rest of them, and MC, whether it's Michael Carter II or. So I don't have tons of faith in him, but I also don't not believe in him because we didn't get to see him play last year. And the years before that, he was with the Raiders in a nickel situation. When he was on the Rams and he was a free safety, he played well. So, but that was a long time ago. So we got to see. It's a question mark for sure. I don't have faith in him, but I don't not have faith in him either. I have faith in Coach Odin and Coach Manuel. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's like, it's going to be an interesting training camp. And, like we say all the time, and like, as much as I say it, I deep in my heart, I don't want this to be true, but it is that you can't address everything in one off season right now. If you look at our team, just look at our team, whether you like Joe Douglas's moves or you don't like the trade or you don't like, this or that. When you look at the team that he inherited, with Adam Gase, number one, he had Adam Gase. He had Adam Gase, Greg Williams, and that whole crew. And like you look at the linebacking core, you look at the defensive line, you look at the wide receivers. There's literally one guy from the CJ Mosley. That's it. There's 2 guys, Nathan Shepard and Quinnen Williams on the defensive line. Like look at the premier style players that we have, at least the potential. And then you look at the depth on the offense. It's a completely revamped offensive line. It's a complete new quarterback, all new running backs, all new wide receivers. The only wide receiver is Denzel Mims. That's it. So when you look at it, even though I'm upset, a little bit disappointed that we didn't address linebacker and safety, the truth is that a lot of stuff got addressed, and we are bolstering this team. Now, do I think we're a Super Bowl team? Unlikely. Okay. Unlikely. But dude, if you just look at where we were and where we are, it's a freaking masterpiece. As long as these guys can actually put it together and our coaches can actually coach. If they can do that, it's amazing what Joe Douglas has done here in 3 off seasons.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, it's really a different roster. It's a completely different roster, and the quality is a lot higher. And what Buffalo Jets fan is saying here, this makes sense. This makes logical sense because Michael Carter has played safety in the past in college, and Hall has not. So that makes logical sense. And I would say if we needed a backup safety, Michael Carter will fill in there, and then Hall, backup boundary corner, and maybe he can come in for big nickel situations.
Yeah. Well. Right, and Bryce Hall's he's not a small guy. I mean, he's not necessarily huge.
6'1". He's 6'1" and a quarter. That's right. For a quarterback, that is huge.
Yeah, it's big. So he could absolutely be a part of those packages. And again, I think having 3 cornerbacks, outside style cornerbacks on the field, especially look, if we're running the 4-2-5 that Robert Saleh wants to run, I mean, having more defensive backs makes a ton of sense. Focusing on the defensive backs and cornerbacks in particular makes a ton of sense rather than focusing on the linebackers. And look, we got 3 linebackers that are vying for 1 spot. We got CJ Mosley outside of injury. He's penciled in. And then you got 3 guys that are fighting for 1 spot. You got Sherwood, Nasruddin, and Quincy Williams. So maybe they think, hey, we have a nice competition going on at linebacker. So it could really be all answered already. And Bryce Hall could be a regular part of their plans. They just didn't think that he was the guy to be our premier corner. And look, you got
the other nice thing is, Brandon Eccles, started a lot of games. Was he good? No, but he has starter experience. So if we need to go to a 4th boundary corner, we got him, and he's got experience. And it's another nice thing about what happened last year.
Yeah, and there's some people out there, that make a case that Eccles is actually the one with more potential to be the first guy off the bench than Bryce Hall. I don't know if I agree with that. Yeah, I don't. But again, we're talking about a 6th round pick who ended up starting all year, for a rookie head coach and everything. So no matter how you slice it, we got a lot of good experience for these guys. The coaches got a nice chunk of time to watch these guys, and we're developing them. I mean, why not, especially on rookie contracts, why not have guys that are good as number 5 and number 6? Like, why not? You know what I'm saying? Like, we usually have, like, after the first starter or 2, they're complete no-names, and they've never, seen the field unless somebody gets hurt. Parry Nickerson and Clark and all those guys that when they leave the Jets, they do nothing anywhere. They're on practice squads or they're just out of the league. Why can't it be that we have good guys on the depth chart? Like, so I don't know. I like it. So thanks, Buffalo Jets fan. I saw another one here. And where'd it go? Maybe not. Yep, there it is. Jake back. Thank you, Jake. He says, going to the gas station to pick a sandwich. Jeremy eats good chaos. Made me more hungry with his smash burger. Everyone dropped like 300 watching. Well, Jeremy's talking about his smash burger in the chat. Is that what he's doing? He's harassing you guys that are hungry. He's fucking bothering you. Well, hey, smash burger's good. And look, there's nothing wrong with eating a burger from the gas station, Jake. If that's all you can do, go get one of those big burritos and go have at it, buddy. I used to do that stuff every night. I did it every night. Get all drunk or stoned or whatever. And I had a trip to the gas station. I'd get 2 Hot Pockets or one of those jumbo burritos or whatever. I loved it. I don't do that so much anymore, Frankie, but I used to. So go have at it, Jake. Take care of that shit. You're not going to find smash burger at the gas station, no. That's the downside. So let's see what else we got here. All right. So I think the super chats are cleaned up. Dave Echeverry wants to know if I take checks. No. Yeah, sure. Yeah, why not? I don't know how you get it into the chat, but why not? Let's see what we got here. Drew Pacabra saying that we can't be perfect at every position, especially at this stage. Right, Frankie? Especially at this stage. Where do you think? I said linebacker and safety. Do you agree that that's kind of where we're weakest? Do you see other areas that you're concerned about?
I am interested to see what happens at linebacker. I think they have a lot of faith in Quincy Williams. That's my belief. And I'd like to see that play. And they have a lot of faith in Jamie and Sherwood. And I think they believe that Hamza and Marcel Harris can be good coverage backers at the very least. So I think they see it. I haven't seen it yet, but they see Quincy and Jamian as high quality linebackers in addition to CJ. So I think they think we're good. We're good. And I can see why they see that about Quincy. He's got to improve on his click and close. But other than that, I could see why they feel that way about Quincy being in the same system again, getting more acclimated, and all he really needs to do is improve his click and close. And then safety, like we've been talking about. I mean, the good news is we got Jordan Whitehead. He's our strong safety. Great. That's a big improvement. And he's going to help out in the run game a lot and also in coverage, of course. So that leaves free safety. And like I've been saying, we got LaMarcus Joyner, we got Jason Pinnock, we got Will Parks even. We got Will Parks. Maybe they love Will Parks. We don't know. Will Parks used to be somebody a few years ago. Not anymore, but
he was the first guy we signed this offseason. So
Parks.
maybe priority.
Joe Douglas said, yeah, you want to see some signings? How about Will Parks? We'll sign Will Parks. Everybody was like, what is going on? So we got him. I mean, so we got a bunch of guys. They're going to compete. I've said that we should go out there and offer Jaquiski Tart $1 million contract. I mean, why can't we get Jaquiski Tart? He's out there. He knows the system. He knows Saleh. He's sitting there. You offer him $1 million contract. If you need to cut him, it's no big deal. He's, why not bring him in to compete? See if he's got anything. He was a starting safety for the 49ers last year. So
yeah. Well, there's got to be some reason, who knows, right? But yeah, I'm with you, man. There's still options, and don't forget, June 1st is right around the corner, and there are cuts that happen that day. I'm wondering, Frankie, with Quan Alexander, who was just here, you got Ogunjobi that was just here, and supposedly the visits were long. They went really well. Ogunjobi was even 2 full days. So I wonder if they're maybe have almost like an agreement in principle or something like that. They want to see what happens June 1st or something along those lines. What do you think of that? Do you think that they left? It's been a little while since they were here. So it's done. They couldn't reach an agreement. Or do you think that maybe keep your eyes open because after June 1st, we might see some of this, including those guys?
Well, I could be wrong, but my intuition is 2 separate situations. One, we brought in Quan Alexander right before we signed Marcel Harris. So I think we looked at Quan Alexander and Marcel Harris is about the same, a coverage backer that we need. And Quan Alexander probably wanted more money than Marcel Harris. So we said, okay, give us the cheaper option. Marcel Harris is here, linebacker 5, just a coverage backer, no problem. So that's my opinion on Quan. Maybe I'm wrong, but and now Ogunjobi is an interesting case. I think he's got the problem with him is his foot injury. He had a deal with the Bears, and the Bears had him signed and everything, and he failed his physical because of his foot injury. And that's very unusual. Even when a guy has an injury that they knew he had the injury, they agreed to something in principle, and then he failed his physical, which was unexpected, even though they knew he had this foot injury.
Which is weird to me.
It's weird. It's a weird situation. And the GM sat him down in the back of a car and personally told him about this. I think we talked about this last week.
Yeah, maybe it's ringing some bells, Frankie.
Yeah, the GM for the new GM for the Bears sat him down in the back of a car. I don't know why they were in the back of a car, but this was the news report, and told him personally, listen, we really want you here. It's nothing personal. It's nothing about you or your game or the contract. It's just the medical. They're telling me I can't sign you, and I want to let you know I'm sorry. We had a deal in principle. It was in the news. We were going to sign you, and then you came back. The physical came back, failed, and I can't sign you. It's not that I don't want to sign you. It's that I can't. I'm not sort of allowed, I guess. Or he was saying,
yeah, right.
There's nothing about you. We love you. We love your skill, all that. So that speaks to the character of the new Bears GM, I think, number one, and also to the character of this player. I mean, that they thought, well, I got to go talk to this guy personally and make sure he understands where we're coming from. Probably because he's a special guy. And so to have that guy in our facility for 2 days is encouraging. I would think they're going to want to try and do something like the baseball teams do sometimes when a guy's going through Tommy John surgery, where they'll sign a guy currently in Tommy John rehab. They give him a 2-year deal. They give him, $2 million, 2 years, $7 million. They're going to give him 3.5 for this year to just rehab and do nothing, with the idea that he comes back next year and gives them something on a somewhat of a cheaper, deal if he can come back to his former quality. So I think they're trying to go for something like that, if I had to guess, with Ogunjobi, because of the physical. But until we know about the medical, it's hard to say. But it could be something like that, where they're trying to work something out where it's team friendly, but also fair to him, and so forth and so on.
Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense. And I think we were talking about this last week too. What about the idea, okay, so they're working on the medical stuff, and the Jets have blown this in the past. I don't know if you know this one. They had Anthony Munoz. They were going to take Anthony Munoz in the first round, and the Jets doctor didn't like what he saw. So he said, don't take him. And we know what he ended up being. And then the next year, so Anthony
Was
Munoz.
the doctor fired? Can we fire the doctor?
No, that doctor had another crack at it 2 years later, and Mike Haight. He had some injury concerns. They said, okay, we blew it with Munoz. Let's go for the next great tackle in the draft. They drafted Mike Haight, and he ended up having an injury-plagued career. So clearly, our medical situation, it wasn't just like we were slapdick at the top of the coaching and the GMing. No, even our medical doctors didn't know what they were looking at. So hopefully now, I choose to believe that what Joe Douglas is doing with the medical department is going to pay dividends as well. And whatever they see, they were the crew that found Vinnie Curry's blood disorder. So maybe they're worth their salt, and they'll be able to figure out if the guy really can be signed and all that stuff, not just be overly cautious. You want them to be cautious, of course, but you want them to be able to look into the future. And what if they just sign this guy? You sign him and he can't play this year, but now you got him. Sheldon Rankins' contract is up at the end of the year, and you already have a guy here. He's already absorbed your entire system. He's been hanging out with
that
guys.
Would be the idea, right? Rankins is out of here. Shepard maybe's out of here. We do need some defensive tackles for next year. So that would be the idea. Like, we're already we're okay this year. No problem. We'll give you a red shirt year, heal up, see you next year, and give him a deal for next year. So that's what I hope but he's probably got a bunch of teams that are considering something like that. I would think he's a very high quality defensive tackle. So,
oh yeah.
So it'd be great if we get the news about, in particular, Quan Alexander. I could live without, because we signed Marcel Harris to basically do the same role, and we have Hamza to do the same role, coverage backer. So
I keep forgetting about Harris. I do.
Yeah. And so I think we have that covered. But a guy like Ogunjobi, it would be, even for next year, would be fantastic.
Oh yeah. And look, his impact was very, very real, man. It was, he was legit. It's a really unfortunate, but that's what I don't understand the Chicago Bears thing. Cause again, he's injured. He just had surgery not too long ago.
Yeah.
What
you got to wonder.
Yeah.
There's something in there that he failed it's very rare for any athlete to fail a physical, even if you're injured. They still, if you're injured, that doesn't mean you fail a physical. They know you're injured. So there's something in there that, and I don't know. I'm not a medical person. I'm not a doctor. Not yet. Anyway,
not yet. He's working on it.
But it's something. I mean, it's got to be serious. It's got to be unusual. It's an unusual situation. It's got to be unusual, and so we'll see.
Yeah. So listen, guys, it's a good time to bring up something. I brought this up with you guys last week. I'm involved with these little side games through this app called Versus, and it's really, really cool, man. I'm actually just learning the ropes, and I've had a few games out there. I can't wait till it gets to football season and starting to have the ability to kind of play each other. It's like I would play you, Frankie. So I say, hey, Breece Hall gets 120 yards. Will Breece Hall get 120 yards in this week's game? And you say, of course he's not. We're playing the most stout run defense. Well, I say, yes, he's going to. We can play each other. You can bet $1. You can do it for fun. You can bet $100. whatever you want. And it's really, really cool. And I've been doing this for the past 2 weeks and I love it, man. It's the coolest thing. So right now I'm betting on, well, not really betting so much. It's like playing the games against people. I have a game out there right now. Will Steph Curry score more than 29 points in the game 2 against the Warriors in the NBA? I'm sorry, against the Mavericks in the NBA Finals. And it's funny because Steph Curry has averaged 26.9 points, but in the last game he scored 31. So people tell me all the time, like I have just as many people telling me there's no way he's scoring 30 points again. And I have the same people saying, dude, it's a foregone conclusion. This is easy. So that's the whole thing. You know how opinionated we get? Well, like, of course it's going to do that. And somebody goes, you're dead wrong. It's exactly like that. So I wanted to tell you guys about it. I've been doing it for a couple of weeks. The link to my game for this week, I'm going to be doing a game pretty much every day, sometimes even 2 games a day, depending on how excited I am. But the link is at the top of the description. You guys should check it out. Again, the app is called Versus Game. And it's just, I don't know. I think it's the coolest thing, Frankie. Have you ever done anything like that yet? Were you able to get in on that?
No, but it sounds pretty cool. I mean, like, could we have a bet? Like, is Jason Pinnock going to be the starting free safety?
Well, look, the truth is that we can. Now, I wouldn't do it now because it's going to take
not
a
now,
while.
not now, but like when it's coming close. Like,
but think about this: like the week before they announced the roster, we put out that game and say Jason Pinnock is going to be the starting free safety for the New York Jets. Right? Like, wouldn't it be cool?
I'll watch all the film and then I'll because I like making predictions. I've been pretty right over the past few months. You know, like, is Laken Tomlinson coming to the Jets? I would have, if people would have said no, I would have taken the yes on that bet.
I know. I wanted to be able to do this. I couldn't get it set up in time. I wanted to do it for draft picks, man. It was like 2 days later I got hooked up with it. Wouldn't that have been amazing? How fun would it have been
Brees
to
Hall.
add these games, right?
Are the Jets going to get Brees Hall? I would have taken a yes on that.
Yeah, and more people would have said no.
Yeah.
They'd be like, I'll bet $1,000 on it. I'll put $1,000 down. Again, it's not necessarily betting, but it's like we play each other and, it's like me versus you. And you know what the coolest thing is? And then I'll wrap this up. The coolest thing is that if you say yes, if you go, yeah, I think that'll happen. You hit yes. You say, I'll put $5 on it. That'll happen. They find you another player somewhere else. So I don't have to establish like I'm playing Jeremy or I'm playing Frankie. They just do it. So it's really cool. It's a nice wrinkle to this football sports thing that I love it. I'm getting involved in it. And anyway, I'd like it if you guys could check it out, maybe play a few games. Again, the link is at the top of the description for Versus Game. And I appreciate you checking it out. So Frankie, it is now 9:40 p.m. We have just under 300 people in here. And I think I only got about 150 likes. What do you think I could say to get them to hit that like button? I don't know. I think it's so simple. Dude, Frankie, when I watch a video, I'm so like geared into hitting like. Sometimes I hit like before I even see the damn video. I'm like, no, I got to take that away. But it's like, what can we say? What can we say to these guys to get them to hit that like button?
When you click like, it lets the algorithm know that Jetnation is here. If you want the YouTube algorithm to recognize Jetnation, you got to click like on Jet content creators' videos. That lets the algorithm know that the Jetnation is here. We're engaged. We're watching videos. We're all over your platform, Mr. YouTube.
Right. It lets now you wish there was some guy in YouTube world that you could lobby to and go, hey, look, I know, but if this is what's going on, I'm building this. I'm trying. They don't give a shit. It is the most inhuman thing in the world.
Yeah.
It's an algorithm. Yeah. And if you don't do it, it says, I don't care. I don't care. They clearly don't like you because they didn't hit the like button. So guys, don't make it so YouTube hates us, doesn't like us. Hit the like button if you haven't yet. It is greatly appreciated. Now, only if you like it, of course. That's, I don't want to make you do anything that you don't want to do, of course. But if you like it, go ahead and hit it. Like Y2K says, if it's a like button, hit it. There you go. The people are wondering which one it is.
Coach Mid wants you to hit the like button. He wants you to hit it. Coach Mid says hit it.
If it's a like button, hit it. If it's a subscribe button, hit it. If it's a little dangling bell, hit it.
If you're not sure what to do, hit it.
That's right. No, I'll tell you, that is football to me. You know what I'm saying?
Mid, you love him. Yeah.
What do you think? Let's give out a hypothetical right now. Mike LaFleur has such a good year with our offense. We see hook and ladders, we see Statue of Liberty plays and reverses and jet sweeps, and everything's going nuts. We have 3 1,000-yard receivers, 2,000-yard backs. Zach Wilson has 5,400 yards. Everything goes swimmingly, and Mike LaFleur gets a head coaching job. You think Coach Middleton's next up on the list? What do you think? Or maybe Calabrese, who they gave the offensive duties to in the Senior Bowl. What do you think would happen there?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would hope that LaFleur would stick around. First of all, he's not that experienced. He's not really ready to be a head coach. But assuming he leaves, I mean, I could see it. I don't think Coach Calabrese is ready yet. So Coach Mid probably next in line. I mean, people forget about tight ends, that other than the quarterback, no other position needs to know everything about what an offense is doing. Think about it. The tight end needs to know how to block. He needs to know the blocking scheme. Tight end needs to know all the routes that he needs to run, just like a wide receiver. He needs to know the running game because he needs to know how to block for the running game. So other than the quarterback, who else has to know more than the tight end? Nobody.
Right.
And people think tight end is just a throwaway position. It's not. It's very important. And so the coach of the tight ends, then you would think, could make a good, offensive coordinator.
Dude, and not for nothing, Frankie. I think you're opening up another can of excitement for me because we just gave Coach Middleton a plethora of toys to play with this year. He's already got Kenny Yeboah. Hopefully they like him. I really like him and thought he developed well. He's got a really nice rounded skill set. I hope that they like him. We still have Wesco on the team. If he goes back to tight end, I don't know what they feel about him. But in addition to that, we gave him Conklin, we gave him Uzoma, and we gave him Ruckert. Coach Middleton just might be the guy that gets the most hubbub this year. Imagine we have 2,000-yard tight ends, Frankie. What do you think of that? Plus, Zach never got sacked once all year because of the tight ends and Lake and Tomlinson. So I don't know. Coach Middleton could be the guy, man. I think that they definitely put him out front to expose him, or at least, expose the world to him. And I think he knocked it out of the park, beating the Jaguars, and then at the Senior Bowl, man. I couldn't have thought of a better way for him to have been shown to the world. He nailed it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, the important thing is okay, if people start leaving, once we experience some success, people are going to leave. And what remains? The system. So you have to hope that the systems we have in place, are the thing that are going to last. And so when it comes to the coaches, that's Coach Saleh. Coach Saleh's system and how he works with people and grooms them and gets them ready to move on up. And then who he brings in, like, for example, we brought in a coach from the University of Cincinnati this year, Coach Scruggs, and he's here now, and we'll see how he does. But Coach Ollie left, and a couple of our lower level coaches left. I forget the other one who left. Nate Ollie left. And that's the more success we have, people are going to leave. And so the question is, does Coach Saleh have the good system in place to bring in the next ones and then train them up and get them going and all of that kind of thing? Just like we hope, Joe Douglas has his system for the scouting staff and we just lost a big scout. We lost Alonzo Dotson, one of our best scouts. We lost him to the Buffalo Bills.
The Buffalo Bills.
Freaking Bills.
He's their national scout now.
Yeah, and good for him. He got a big promotion, but that says a lot about us. We got good scouts, and he was the one who was banging the table for, among others, for Jermaine Johnson.
Right.
And he was our Southeast scout. And so we lost him, and that's going to happen. You're going to lose good people, and then how do you replace them? What's the system? What's the pipeline?
That's right. I think that's a very, very good point. And I look, like Hawk is saying there, he says, Mike LaFleur just learned how to tie his shoes. He's not head coach material. I tend to agree with you.
Yeah, I agree too. But then again,
Joe Brady was getting interviews last year, and they didn't even do anything. Yeah,
Matt Rule's a head coach. I mean, Mike LaFleur's brother looks like a 15-year-old boy. So what about that? So yeah, you never know if it's once a guy gets hot, once he gets his name, he gets a reputation, gets a hot rep. they don't care anymore. These owners,
They
they'll
don't.
hire these young guys.
They really will. So look, I would much rather have an offensive coordinator here for 4 or 5 years, like really just kind of build our team. But like Frankie just said, sad to say, every year coaches are getting fired, and every year the guys, the GMs and or owners that are hiring, they just want the hot name. That's it. They just want the guy who's hot right now. It worked with McVay. Now it worked with what's the coach's name in Cincinnati? It's just
Zach Thomas.
Zimmer.
Zach. It's Zach something.
Thomas. Timmer.
I think it's
Zach Thomas.
Taylor.
Zach Taylor. There it is. I mean, he didn't look so good the first year, but it's like now look, and he's a McVay guy. So it's just like, hey, so look, like LaFleur is coming from, the
right. That's the other thing. That's the tree. Yeah, that's the tree.
That's the tree right now. So I wouldn't be surprised. But either way, I hope he stays. But I do think Middleton is going to be next up. My concern is that Coach Middleton gets hired for an offensive coordinator job. We would have to give him like an assistant coach type of a thing to be able to keep him here. I don't think Robert Saleh or Joe Douglas would restrict him from interviewing. They just don't strike me as those kinds of guys.
No.
But
that would be a terrible thing to do. That would also be a terrible thing to do. It's one thing if somebody wants to hire him as a tight end coach, then you could say no, thank you. But if he's up for a promotion, you pretty much have to let him go. I mean, that would be terrible that would be horrible.
Yeah, I agree. So I think we're gonna have to watch that one because Coach Middleton, I think he's eyes are upon him. I think, and especially because we've given him every opportunity to thrive this year. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one goes. Real 84 checking in. He says, I'll throw you a like if you explain how your wife responded to the 69 comment tonight. Now that's something that I said, Frankie, the joke was everybody loves Ryan said, everybody loves the number 69. And I just whispered, not my wife, so it's a joke. It's not necessarily true or false, but I'll tell you, her response was, nothing, because she didn't know about it, Real 84. And if you say anything, we're going to have fucking words. She watches and supports my stuff, but she's not sitting here watching 2 hours of Green Bean. She gets enough of this shit right here, So.
And plus there should be also like some sort of warning, like the my wife thing. Like you should get, it's like my wife as a comedian, the my wife is like it's like a joke setup. It's like a joke setup type thing,
right? It's not necessary. I'm not saying not necessarily right. Truths. yeah. So Kareem says Zach the unzackable. Well, I wish that was the case. I would. I mean, look, he helped it.
If that's the case this year, we got something cooking, because it was not that way last year. When you watch the tape, Zach, he was sacked a lot last year, and he should have been sacked more. If he had the athleticism of Mac Jones, would have been sacked even more.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Incredible. That's the thing. You look at Zach Wilson was under pressure almost constantly, especially the first half of the season. And then obviously the game that he got hurt. I mean, he was under so much pressure, and it was even bullshit. Like what was happening to him. He got tackled they went at his knee directly on the sideline. Like it's late hits, dirty hits. The poor guy was battered last year. And that's why, I think I'm a little sensitive to when people say, Zach has no more excuses, because the guy, if anybody has excuses, it's him, but he's never said a peep. He's never, not once, complained or huffed or puffed or anything like that. And I think the kid is
tough. That kid is tough. Yeah. There's no doubt, two ways about it. He's tough. And even in the scouting reports, I was looking at some old scouting reports just to refresh my memory. Even in the scouting reports, it says kid is tough as nails. That was literally in the scouting report.
Yeah, tough as nails. And look, man, if you look at all of his past, incarnations, if you will, and he always has bad first years, and second year he settles in, and so I think that's what's going to be the case. I mean, look, we're clearly supporting him. We're clearly focused on what it takes to make a successful quarterback. Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, they preach offensive and defensive line. It's all about the trenches. And I think that's important, man. Like with Sam Darnold, our most recent quarterback attempt. Not only did they not bring people in to help him, but when they did have somebody in here, like a Terrell Pryor, they had 5 touchdowns in 3 games, and they cut him mid-season for no reason. I mean, I don't know what it is. They didn't like him. I don't know what it was, but they took weapons away from him. And then the Robbie Anderson thing, obviously. But it's like, Sam got no favors, all right? So I think that they at least learned from that. And if you look at anything we're doing on this team, we're surrounding our quarterback with talent. Now they might not work out. There's still a lot to be written here, but the truth is you can see it. I mean, there's offensive linemen being brought in here every single year, whether it's first round picks, high priced free agents, depth guys. Like, we're bringing in offensive linemen, and we're bringing in wide receivers. We're bringing in running backs and tight ends. Like, Zach has a smorgasbord of options this year. And look, if you look at the type of guy that he is, hard worker, film junkie, super athletic. He put on 6 pounds of what looks like 100% his chest and shoulders. That's where it looks like that 6 pounds went. I mean, he looks like a different body. And dude, he throws one of the sweetest balls you've ever seen, and his arm is ridiculous. So, I mean, if anybody's got a chance, Frankie, to change our fortunes, it happens to be the quarterback that we have right now. And I couldn't be more excited about him.
Yep, agreed.
Let's see. So, hey, look, we're kind of getting to the end here. I didn't realize it was already, I thought it was 9:30. I just said it was 9:40. I'm a burnout. So I wanted to bring Wat2K on. He's got some very specific trivia for us tonight. And we're going to I'll bring him and Jeremy on if Jeremy's around. I don't know. I can't see him. So maybe not. But let's say hello to our good buddy. He's hanging out in the back. You know him. I love him. Wat2K. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
We're doing well, gentlemen. It's Thursday night. The week's almost over, and this gives us that last little push to get through the crazy week. So I'm glad to be here.
Hey, and then you only have one more Friday. Fridays are just easier by default, right?
Exactly.
It's like Fridays we can handle. I like a good Friday. So as you guys probably know, but if not, Wat2K is the president of the Virginia Jets fan club. We haven't spoken about it this year yet, but I plan to get down there for a game with those guys. What a great group, and it's a bunch of fun. I don't know if you guys have ever frequented any Jets fan clubs, but if you're home watching it by yourself and you're kind of missing the old days when you went to the games or whatever it is, and you're not by the stadium, dude, it's one of the greatest things. Don't you agree, Wat2K? I mean, you're the president of one, so you might be biased, but isn't it just the best thing when you watch a game with all those people?
Football to me is the most communal sport that there is. Football was meant to be enjoyed together with other people because, living in Chicago as long as I did in the west suburbs, I was living in Bears and Packers country. I couldn't find any Jets fans. I had to drive an hour and 15 minutes down by Wrigley Field to watch a Jets game with other Jets fans. So, yeah, the fact that I moved to Virginia 5 years ago, found the group on Facebook, and now they're some of my best friends in this area. So I count myself among the fortunate ones for sure.
Yeah, man. And it's such a great group, especially that guy who wore the helmet and the flight suit. What's his name?
I think you're talking he doesn't frequent us as much. Willie comes a little bit, but he has his own group now. Willie does it. He traditionally is the one who has the flight suit on, and Art also does it too. You met Art?
Yeah, so, Art.
Yeah, Art does it too. Yeah, they would both do like a flyby for a touchdown. Then they do come together and do a big chest bump.
There you go.
So it was,
I mean, it's fun. They have the run of the place, and I'll tell you what, man. I've said it before. I'll say it one more time. I'm a wings guy, and I try to get wings everywhere I go. And I'm telling you, more times than not, I am disappointed. They say nuclear flavor. We got mild, medium, hot, and nuclear. I get nuclear, and it's like a mild. And this place has good wings. AJ Gators. Did I get it right?
AJ Gators. Yep.
AJ Gators in Norfolk, Virginia. So I'm going to be hanging out down there at least once or twice this year. That'll be great. But right. Yeah, so what do you got for us, man? Wat2K is our trivia guy. We did really well last week. We think that was the first one that we actually got right. Like really got right. So
that one in the you got that. You also got the Jalen Saunders question that I gave you back when we just started doing that. You got that one in seconds. You knew that one.
There you go. All right. Well, I'm proud of myself. It's a 2 out of 15. So not bad. Not bad. All right,
Frankie, your
watch
turn.
it, Kate.
Frankie, your turn to catch up now, right?
Well, only if the chat provides me with the answers. The only way I get these right is if the chat gives me the answers and then I just say what they say.
Yeah. So before we get into it, I just want to remind everybody, let's give a congratulations. Big Green just planted his peppers. So congratulations, Big Green. I look forward to you maybe sending me one or two in the mail so I can sample them with you when you have your harvest. But I always love growing peppers. When I get my new house, that's one of the first things I'm doing with my gardens. Peppers are going in the ground, baby. So, all right, Y2K, what do you got for us today?
Well, I've been wanting to make the trivia a little bit more topical lately, and now that we're past draft season, it becomes a little hard to find a good trivia topic. Well, today I would like to thank Mr. Brady Quinn for giving us a lot of fodder and giving us something to talk about. So guess what? We have a Brady Quinn themed trivia question today.
Oh,
now,
my God.
Over the course of
is it from college or the NFL? Because
no, we're going back to high school. We're going to go back to the 80s.
He was really good in high school.
In Ohio. Yeah, named the only other Jets player who went to Brady Quinn's high school. Honestly, I looked. I couldn't find any other Jets. I found 6 other guys. None of them were Jets. No, I wouldn't do that. But, and I'm not kidding either. I actually looked that up. Okay. Here's a question. In his illustrious 4-year NFL career, Brady Quinn totaled 2 game-winning drives. Now, by definition, a game-winning drive is a scoring drive in the fourth quarter or overtime that puts your team on top for good. So he did that twice in 4 years. Well, there have been 4 Jets quarterbacks who have had 5 game-winning drives in a single season. Your job, name those 4 quarterbacks. And if you like to really go for it, go for the years.
Okay, now before we dive in, is this in Jets history period? Does it go back to the 60s and all that shit?
None of this. This is Jets history. No, we're not talking. No, Al Duro and Al Woodle and guys like that are not involved here. So This is Jets history. 5 game-winning drives in a single season.
All right. Now, is Namath in there?
Joe Namath is incorrect.
Ooh.
He never did it 5 times. Shorter season. Keep that in mind,
So I'm with Jets forever, Frankie. I think Mark Sanchez is one of them. I remember them, the Texans, the Browns, all that shit. I think Sanchez is one of them.
Mark Sanchez in 2010 is correct.
Dark Soldier. Go on, Frankie. What do you got?
What about Fitzmagic? I bet you Fitzmagic's in there.
I think so too.
Ryan Fitzpatrick is incorrect. Only 3 times.
Okay.
I know, right? He leads us in a bunch of single season passing quarterbacks, but he only had 3 game-winning drives that one season of 2015.
Wow. So Dark Soldier went for the gusto. He said Sanchez, Chad, Fitz, and Boomer. We now know that Fitz is out and Sanchez is in. What about Chad Pennington? I see a couple more Chad. I see some more Penningtons.
Yeah, those of you who know me know what a Chad mark I am, so you figured I would put in a question where I could put Chad over. Unfortunately, this is not one of those questions. Chad Pennington never did it either.
No! I thought we had it. How about Vinny Testaverde? Drew Pacabra is throwing Vinny T out there.
Vinny Testaverde is correct. He did it in 2001, a little bit later in his Jets career. So, yep, we have Sanchez, we have Vinny. 2 more.
It's funny. We think Testaverde's career ended after that Achilles. It's like we thought he died. It's like
remember after that.
It's like after that, it's like Testaverde, who's that? And Pennington came in after that, right? He was
but there was a very serious debate amongst Jets fans. There was that. You mean we thought that the trade Sam Darnold thing last year was something. The Vinny versus Chad thing was. I mean, I saw on message boards people scheduling to meet each other and fight. Like because of it. It got that contentious. But Vinny played for a couple more years and then Chad came in and stole the show, man. Chad's first game in, he was headbutting everybody and jumping around like a maniac. And it just, oh man, I miss Chad. I miss Vinny too.
He was so underrated. Chad Pennington was so underrated.
He really was. Because it's those injuries. He's still one of the most accurate quarterbacks in NFL history. He was precise, laser accurate, just had no arm. He was no bombs.
You tear your rotator cuff twice, that's going to do it. I mean, if he had no arm, he never would have been a first-round pick. He wouldn't have been able to throw those long bombs to Randy Moss.
Do you remember that when there were articles and there was a significant outcry of people saying that when he had the second surgery, they strengthened his arm. It's going to make him stronger. There were people that were actually psyched. Chad Pennington, the doctors, like they made him bionic or something like that. That's what people actually believe. As we know, that didn't necessarily happen.
But he did go to Miami and play. Had a couple of good years. I mean, he's not terrible years.
He came in second in the MVP voting that first year behind Peyton Manning.
Oh,
second
well, there
in
you
MVP.
Go.
Damn it! Oh, that would have been so fun.
All right,
I
gotta give Jeremy props because he's mentioning one particular player that nobody else has mentioned.
Is that Geno Smith?
Geno Smith
did it in 2013. Can you believe
how is that possible?
I know.
Well,
we went 8-8 that year. 8-8 that year, but we had he had 5 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter overtime in that 1 year alone.
Incredible. Boycott Activision had some Geno Smith right before Jeremy, as a matter of fact. I don't want Jeremy to walk out of here thinking well of himself if it's not due. So Jeremy, you want to come on? I was bringing you on, but you weren't there. You ready? I'll bring Jeremy on. Let's say hello to Jeremy. Jets Chaos with Jeremy. He's a very instrumental part of this show. He hangs out and makes sure that I see more than I would see if he wasn't here. He and Y2K are incredibly helpful. So thank you, Jeremy. So Jeremy had Geno Smith and B. Trav threw out Ken O'Brien. What about Kenny O?
Ken O'Brien is the fourth and final correct answer in 1991. So in chronological order, you got O'Brien in 91, Testaverde in 01, Sanchez in 2010, and Geno Smith in 2013.
Look at all those awesome quarterbacks we have had. Anybody who says we can't develop a quarterback, what about all those guys?
That's right. I mean, right, man. Look, what's sad about all that is every single one of them was good. They were good ass. We always we never have it all at once, Frankie. You know what I mean? We never have it all at once.
Name me one quarterback the Chicago Bears have ever had. Go ahead.
Sid Luckman. Sid Luckman.
I was about to say, except Sid Luckman. You can't name Sid Luckman because that was in the 40s, and that doesn't count.
Yeah. What about Jim McMahon?
That's not real.
Jim McMahon was terrible.
Hey, you want to see
his stats? He did win the Super Bowl, but they had other things like the best defense of all time and Walter Sweetness Payton.
Yeah,
he didn't need to do much.
But I'll tell you this: he wore the shades and the headband, and he was the most popular thing in the league that year.
Yeah.
So
he was, but as far as the playing goes, not so good.
Well, we got a couple. AM says Rex
Cutler.
Yeah, Jay Cutler.
My point. Exactly.
Who apparently had an affair on his wife with one of his wife's friends. I think he just got accused of adultery. Nice to know he learned from losing Kristen Cavallari, but hey, that's another story.
Cutler did, you're saying?
Yeah, he just had a few accusations thrown at him in the last couple of days, so he still hasn't grown up.
Poor fella. And then we've heard such nice things about his personality through the years. Right? He was he was universally hated by everybody that ever played with him, right? He was a scumbag. I mean, word is, I don't know.
Not a good teammate, very selfish and all that. Yeah, living in Chicago. Yeah, I still remember how excited the town was when they traded for Cutler. They're like, this is our real franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah. All it took was losing that NFC championship at home to Green Bay, and that was it.
Yeah, they were shooting with bow and arrows. I'll tell you what, though, that was when Josh McDaniels went to the Broncos. And his first order of business was to get rid of their starting quarterback, who was widely considered one of the better quarterbacks at the time, and their number one wide receiver, Brandon Marshall. And then he quit. Isn't that fun? That's Josh McDaniels for you.
You gotta love the Bill Belichick tree. There's a tree. More like a shrub.
Nice fellas.
Yeah,
let's talk about that though. Frankie, what do you think? The Patriots, they lose Josh McDaniels, who outside of a little smidgen here or there, has been their offensive coordinator for 20 years, right? They lose him, and they don't hire an offensive coordinator. They're going to use Joe Judge, who was their special teams coach. And what's his name? Matt Patricia is going to help out with what? What do you think this is? Is this like the end of the Patriots, or is this the next
No.
brilliant move?
It's
that
the
Bill
next.
Belichick.
Here's how it goes. This is what's going on with Bill Belichick. I've figured it out. I'm the only one. Bill Belichick is intentionally throwing this year. Why would he do that, Frankie? You're asking.
Why would he do that, Frankie?
Because next year there's a gentleman on the Alabama Crimson Tide named Will Anderson, and he wants him very badly. And he thinks if I get that kid, I can do anything I want. So one bad year, I'll take it. I want Will Anderson on this team. And the only way I could get Will Anderson is to make sure I get the first overall pick in the draft. That's my theory. That's the only thing that makes sense for what he's been doing this year. Think about free agency, terrible. Draft, terrible. Coaching decisions, terrible. What other explanation is there?
Well, I'll tell you this. I sincerely feared 2 years ago when we were doing the tank thing, the Patriots only had like 2 wins or whatever it was for a moment. When we played the Patriots, I was convinced that he was going to lose to us, try to get us out of there, and then be teetering around, that bottom. I thought he was going to do it for Trevor Lawrence or Zach. Well, I thought he was going to do that. And he didn't. He ended up winning, 7 games or whatever it was. They missed the playoffs. But anyway, I don't know if Bill Belichick would do that. Although I think that comparison, who is it, Belichick or Brady? I think that last year he tried to put $200 million into the team and get a new quarterback and try to see if he could do it. But I think he kind of knows that he might not be able to. And I think, Frankie, that you might be onto something, because he's the kind of guy that pride isn't necessarily, it's not the same for him. He'll do anything he wants. You know what I mean? Like as unorthodox as it might be.
He's one of the only GM coaches. He makes the most money out of anybody, $15 million a year. He has 6 rings. Plus others when he was like the one with the Giants and all that. So to him, what does he care if he has to forfeit a year, if he has to go get Will Anderson, if Will Anderson really is the generational? I mean, they're saying Will Anderson, it really is, generational, as opposed to some of these other people they say that about. That's what they're saying. Like, this kid is so good, he might want to sit out next year because why risk the injury? Just sit out, get drafted. Like, that's how good he is. He's not going to do that probably, but.
Because how much time does Belichick really have? I mean, does he want to go out with a whimper? I mean,
man, 70 years old.
Basket?
What else is he going to do, though?
I mean,
what else does he really do? What is he going to do? Go fishing?
Do you think he regrets drafting Mac Jones? Do you think that's a regret now?
I don't think so. I mean, we got to see what Mac Jones. Word from the Patriot people is Mac Jones needed a lot of coaching last year. Like, Josh McDaniels wasn't just sitting there going, go do it, Mac. It was a lot of coaching, and now they have nothing. They Joe Judge. They have a special teams coach coaching Mac Jones, and they don't even know who's calling the plays yet. It might be Matt Patricia. It might be Joe Judge. It might be Bill Belichick. It might be Steve Belichick. It might be Brian Belichick. It might be Amanda Belichick, his daughter, who's the head coach of a women's lacrosse team in college. He might bring her in here to call the plays. We don't know. Nobody knows. It's crazy.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, that's look, he is 70 something years old, right? 70, 71 or something along those lines. There is the realistic possibility that he's kind of loose. Some screws are a little bit loose and he's just making bad decisions. I mean, who was it? Dark Soldier said he hasn't drafted a Pro Bowler in 7 or 8 years. And look, traditionally speaking, Bill Belichick isn't the best drafter. What he does is he
especially if they're not in Alabama. I mean, if they're not a guy in Alabama who's really good and that he needs, he has no clue what he's doing. Think about all his good draft picks. Almost all of them are Alabama. And don't forget that he's best buddies with Nick Saban, who's now in a big fight with Jimbo Fisher, by the way.
Oh my gosh!
About recruiting and NIL deals, and Jimbo Fisher saying, if you look under the hood of Nick Saban, you're not, there's a lot of skeletons in that closet, and you have to wonder what that's all about.
Don't just read what he said, folks. If you haven't heard what he said, you actually have to watch Jimbo Fisher. You have to hear his voice and watch his face to really understand how upset he is.
So talk about that. I didn't see that. So as a matter of fact, I saw a headline. I didn't look into it. I saw something about Jimbo Fisher. What actually happened here?
Well, So Coach Saban, it started with Coach Saban. He was on stage somewhere talking about NIL deals, and he had a long 7-minute answer about, name, image, and likeness deals that these players are getting nowadays. And there's a whole thing with cooperatives and things, people paying these players. And Saban, at the end of this long diatribe, said, "And if you look at a team like Texas A&M, who had the #1 recruiting class last year, they paid all of those athletes. In other words, they bought all the athletes, and they made promises to them: if you come here, you will get, all of this money." And Saban saying that's not fair. That's not how you do it. We've always separate, even though some of our guys do get NIL deals, of course, and we don't get involved in that. We don't do that. We're honest, and nobody can touch us, and we're pure as the driven snow. And meanwhile, Texas A&M is over there buying their players. And Jimbo Fisher came back with some, like Watake was saying, came back and said, "Listen, you want to go find out about Nick Saban? Go ask any assistant coach who's coached with him. You're going to find out real quick about Nick Saban. You'll find out why nobody wants to coach with him. You'll find out everywhere stop he's been. You can find out." And he didn't say what you're going to find out. That's the interesting part. But you're going to find out something about Nick Saban. I don't know what
it's alluding to. That he sits naked in his office, or you gotta see he doesn't wear pants in his meetings. Well, what is it?
I mean, it's all about recruiting practices and how they're getting players, because Texas A&M had a fantastic recruiting class, and Nick Saban seems to be a little bit bitter because he didn't get the players that he wanted, and he raised a little bit of a ruckus about it. And Jimbo Fisher, he took it personally. I mean, he and Saban coached together at LSU for 5 years. They're not strangers to one another. And His quote about Saban was, "Some people think they're God."
Right.
So he's definitely accusing him of having quite the ego. And if I'm Nick Saban, I'd probably have a pretty big ego myself. But but these types of accusations, I mean, they can really hurt livelihoods. I mean, they are really, really serious accusations. And you can't blame Fisher being as outraged as he is.
Yeah, and he came out and said, "Look, we broke no laws. We did nothing wrong. We did not buy any players. They come here if they get an NIL deal, great. That's on them. It's totally legal. But if somebody wants to come along and regulate, from the federal government about how these NIL deals work, fine, we're cool with that. But we've broken no law. We did nothing wrong." Coach Saban saying that is insulting the 17-year-old kids coming here and their parents and their families and our program and all of our assistant coaches and the entire program. And if you know anything about A&M, the boosters and the alumni at Texas A&M are insane. These people are. I was down in Texas, and I know from them, and they will do just about anything they'll give any amount of money to anything that has to do with improving A&M's football team. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to watch. These NIL deals are very interesting to me. And we got to see what's going to happen. And Dave saying Saban's a dirtbag, and then Saban's best friends with Belichick. We know Belichick's a cheater and a liar and everything else about Belichick, and they're best buddies. And Bill O'Brien is also tight with Belichick, who's the offensive coordinator at Alabama. Bill O'Brien is. So this is going to be interesting. Going to be very interesting.
And the whole NIL thing to me is very interesting as well, because there's a case they make millions and millions and millions of dollars off these guys, and some of them are never going to play in the NFL. They have hot college seasons, and everybody knows, like a Taj Boyd played for Clemson. They had Watkins. They were great, but everybody knew he's not really a quarterback in the NFL. So that was it. So he was all part of the hubbub, and that was his chance to make some money, and he made millions of dollars for somebody. So it's interesting.
The kid should be able to.
Did you guys hear, though, that this stuff is bleeding into areas that I never thought that it would? And there are people trying to lobby right now, and a significant amount actually, saying that the players who show up to the draft to go on the stage should also be paid. The NFL makes tons and tons of money, and it wouldn't be anything without the players showing up on stage and all that for the first couple rounds. The first rounders in particular, that they should not have to go, or they shouldn't even go unless they were getting paid, and that the NFL should pay them. What do you guys think about that? Jeremy, what do you think about that?
I have no problem with them making money and people being paid, but it's a slippery slope at the same time. Like it has to be very, very regulated. But I like, for example, I was always against like college players not being paid for like their likeness in a video game and things like that. I never understood what that had anything to do with anything. Like why? Like, and at the end of the day, there's just so much money being made on these kids, and not every one of them make it to the NFL, but a lot of money is still made on them. So I don't know. But it's got to be well regulated too, because corruption, is still, I mean, you don't want the same 5 universities to own football every year after year.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I agree. Like the video games, why can't they make money on their name and face and everything beyond a video game? It doesn't make sense to me. But Y2K, what do you think about having to get paid to show up at the draft? You think that's crossing the line?
I don't, at this point, they're not in college anymore, so I don't really have an issue with it. You can do a thing if you're selected in the first round and you're there in person, then you get X amount of dollars. There's all kinds of different ways that you could tier it. To put it that way. So yeah, at that point you're not in school anymore. Yeah, I have no issues with it. But yeah, you do have to regulate. I mean, I have issues with these programs being put on sanction, these coaches getting in trouble because the coach gives the kid like $20 to go buy a shirt or to go get lunch somewhere. I mean that's a little bit ridiculous.
Right. I know.
So the NCAA, not exactly the most moral organization, not the most fair thinking organization in the world. I think we can agree on that. But, at this point, you're coming out, you're going to pursue your dreams of playing in the pros. Yeah, I'd throw a little bit of money their way. Why not?
Yeah, it's like you can't have the show. It's like I'm really torn on it. It's like you can't have the show without them, really. I mean, you could. It's still going to be a big deal, but all those people showing up in that whole thing, I don't know if everybody would. If they just said a name, put a face on a screen, and then you moved on. I don't know. But it's like weird. It's like for me, I almost feel like, it's that moment that they get to find out if they're going to be millionaires or not. Like, why would you have to be paid to find out you're going to be? I don't know. It seems like an opportunity and like a privilege to me to be able to be on the draft stage. But then again, the NFL's making a whole boatload of money on it. So why shouldn't the kids? What do you think, Frank? You got any thoughts on that one?
Well, yeah, I mean, the question is who's going to pay them. So I don't think the NFL should pay them, but they also have an opportunity, and a lot of these kids take advantage of it. Look at the great clothes that they wear. Look at the jacket that Jermaine Johnson wore. What a fantastic jacket that was.
The pearls on Garrett Wilson.
The pearls on Garrett Wilson. They all have a way to express themselves, and that's of value because the NFL is providing them a platform to say, look at this individual, this person might want to be an ambassador for your brand. You might want to sign this person up. Look at how charismatic they are. They might, you might want them to sell your product for you. And so they get a platform that way. And I think a lot of the kids take advantage of it. Jordan Davis had a stripe across his jacket. I thought that was fantastic. I was like, where do I get a jacket like that? And the answer is you can't, Frankie, because there's people giving him that jacket who, there's a deal going on there.
Right.
If you tried to buy it, it'd be like a $10,000 jacket, and I would say no, thank you.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah,
I can't.
That's not for me anymore.
We need super chats to buy the jackets, folks.
Yeah,
let's go.
Right.
Yeah, right. But I love so these kids are taking advantage in Sauce with the Sauce thing on his chain and all this. So they're taking advantage of the platform they're given, a lot of them, and I think that's wonderful. And that exposure then allows them to get other deals. So that's the way I would look at it.
Yeah, I'm with Dark Soldier. Like I'm torn. It's like, yeah, and they're saying it's voluntary. Yeah, it is. But I think, a lot of people, they're just saying like, if you want me to show up on the stage, so maybe some people like a Trayvon Walker, just as an example, I don't know if it applies. Maybe they would have been there if they felt the NFL wasn't paying them. So why should I go there and make your show better or something?
Yeah, they don't force you, right? They don't force you to go, do they? Oh, so you can, so then I like it even better. So if you don't like it, then you stay home and that's cool. And we'll record you and your family celebration like Jeremy Ruckert and all that. Yeah. And that's cool. And
you want to put your camera in my house? 200 G's.
Yeah, right.
Right.
But
I've always wondered.
other people say I'm going to wear the swaggiest jacket in the group. I'm going to make people know I'm your spokesman for your product. Yeah, and then they take advantage of it, and that's good.
Yeah. And then, they got the other, after they get drafted and they're at home, they got the 31 other hats of the teams that didn't draft them. Who knows what happens to those hats, I wonder.
They get thrown in the garbage. That's what happens.
They get sent to like Somalia.
Once you pick the Jets hats,
they're going to Rwanda, Somalia. They're going to third world countries.
They're in the garbage. Once you're on the Jets, there's no other teams.
Yeah.
What other teams are there?
Just ask the Ruckards.
I know. It's a funny thing. I really do wonder, I mean, obviously there's a few reasons to be happy no matter what. Like, it doesn't, if you get the higher you get drafted in the first round or whatever, you make more money. So there's a major difference between the first 5 picks and the last 3 picks or whatever. So I'm sure they're happy on that end. And it's the realization that you're really going to live your dream. I mean, lots of guys think they're going to be first round picks and they don't get picked. They end up being kind of, like look at Malik Willis. He thought he got the 3rd round pick and he was there. He thought he was going to potentially be the 2nd overall pick and he's the 3rd rounder. So I think that the thrill of it is super exciting just in and of itself. And I think that that's where the value lies. But again, I wonder if any of these guys, like when the Jaguars are on the clock, they're thinking, please not me. Or the Jets for that matter, please no. Oh, and they got to feign, great. Hey, coach, how you doing? I wonder if they're ever disappointed by the team that drafts them. You know what I mean?
Manning. Eli Manning. There's your answer.
Well, what about Sam Darnold? Was Sam Darnold with his stupid brown tie?
Oh yeah, that's one of the biggest draft gaffes in history, man. That really is. We should have known right then. You know what I mean? This guy's a moron. You don't do that. He was so cocksure. That he thought, I'm definitely going to be the number 1 overall pick, and he wore a brown tie to play with it and everything, and then he's up there with a green hat on and a fucking brown tie. You know what I mean? We should have known right there. A lot of us did. Alien Face Magoo is checking in, and he says, I think the top pick should be paid for their draft appearance. Imagine a player who shows up to the draft with their friends and family but doesn't get picked in one of the early rounds. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Again, I don't know. I think the fact that it is voluntary, like everybody's saying, it's like, look, you don't have to show up, and if nobody shows up, we'll still have the show, and but then again, we do have the cameras in their house and everything, so I don't know. It's one of those things. I like to believe that there's still some purity left in the NFL, but I don't know if that's even real anymore. Like there's some actual childlike excitement and there is team unity and all that. But man, that shit is fewer and farther between these days. And it hurts my feelings. It does. So, all right, look, let's wrap this up. Thank you guys for hanging out. It is 10:25. So got about an extra half hour. This year. I want to remind you about a couple things. If you haven't hit like, we still got like 80 of you that didn't hit that like button. It is greatly appreciated if you do. Not making you, but if you feel like helping out a friend, go ahead and hit that like button. I also want to remind you that if you're looking for more exclusive content with me, you can hit the link that says Patreon and join the Beanbaggers. We got lots of fun stuff going on. And just tomorrow or Monday, I'm releasing my schedule for the Beanbaggers. We had our draft schedule. Now we're releasing the next one until training camp. All sorts of midweek fun stuff that we do, classic games and on and on. So I'll be releasing that. But you can get in on that by clicking the link in the description. We also have that game that I'm now involved in. Let's have a little fun together, maybe even make some money together if you feel like putting some money down. But again, you don't have to. You can just do it for fun. That is the link at the top of the description. Versus game. That is where I will be having games every single day. And I can't wait till training camp and start finding out who do we think is going to start and who do we think is going to this or that. It's going to be fun. Anyway, we also have NFL. Ooh, Jets chaos with Jeremy. Who knows what it'll be next week? It's a fun thing he's doing. But you can. Is it now? Is the channel called Jets Chaos with Jeremy, or is it still NFL Chaos with?
It's Jets Chaos with Jeremy.
Okay, so don't forget to follow Jets Chaos with Jeremy. And watch UK. What's your new channel called?
Well, right now, yeah, we're still figuring out where it's going to go. I was right now it's Y2K99, but with the different gimmicks and ideas that have been coming around, we're figuring out how we're going to brand it, where different content might go. I had a little bit of a Mets and Rangers rant going last night, but all of a sudden it quickly became out of date. It was time sensitive, and then the hockey game ended. And I'm like, yeah, this is pretty much a waste. Let's just delete that. And then onto Jeremy's show I went, and he let me rant for a good 10 minutes, which I sorely needed. So,
well, right. That's the tough part about doing something like this. You know, they always recommend doing stuff that's evergreen, that people could come back in a month and it still is applicable. It's hard when we're talking about stuff like this. It gets old fast, man, doesn't it? Sports. So, hey, we all got to learn that. But that's Watu-K99 on YouTube. And again, he is the president of the Virginia Jets fan club. If you're looking for a good group of dudes to commune with, chat with, and hang out with on game days, no better group than the Virginia Jets fan club. And it's a great time down there. Now, Frankie, what do you got coming up, buddy?
Well, Frankie from Flatbush Channel, we're taking a look at the schedule. Who's going to win? Who's going to lose? We're predicting wins and losses and all sorts of stuff. On the Frankie from Flatbush channel, we'll also have Frankie's Army. If people want to look into that, you get exclusive items, documents, things, emojis, things nobody else has. You can only get by joining Frankie's Army on YouTube.
There you go. Frankie from Flatbush on YouTube. And again, guys, if you haven't liked it or subscribed to the channel, now is a fantastic time to do so. We thank you guys for being here, and we will see you next time.
Yeah, here we come, baby. Here we come. Here come the Jets, man.
I want to kiss you.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah! You want to run or you want to duck down? You want to duck, just go over and get onto the bench and stay there.
You play to win the game.
My message for the fans, we're all frustrated with where we are right now.
Jets, 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 Jets.
Chargers. 2nd and 9, and Rivers. Oh, what a stick by his own guy. By his own guy. Tolbert is the one down on the field. Making the catch, and that collision with Ryan Thomas. Injury timeout.